Hey, welcome back for another year.
What's happening? What's happening?
Man, we about to do this one more time.
Two dope boys in a Cadillac.
I bet you he took the whole break to come with that lyric. This year's gonna be a fun year. Fun year. You know what's so crazy? I was out in the streets a lot on the break, just rapping with people, and hope is having an impact, man. It's having an impact. I'm listening to the conversations. I'm listening to the rumbling. I'm hearing about hope showing up. Some of our students, amazing as they are out pouring some of these views, these ideas into the community. It's really exciting to hear some of the impact of the Hope students, even some of the Hope students from Chicago. Got a chance to sit with some of them this week. It's just exciting, man. It's exciting. So I'm excited about doing this again another year. I'm excited about the outcome. I'm excited about the impact. Oh my God, a blast from the past. Oh my, Shakina, you remember my little man? Yeah, the first retreat ever. Oh my God, man, his pops. Okay, anyway, I'm about to get emotional. Anyway, so I'm ready to do this again. Before we get started, I just want to say thanks to all you guys who've also worked to bring in donations over the break, support us over the break, and continue to also spread and share the Hope experience over the break. Microphone just went. Okay, there you go. I promise you this. Wow, you don't want me to start talking, huh? I promise this year is gonna be a dope year.
Absolutely.
So with that being said, let's get this ball rolling. First slide. Who are we? You want to start, Court?
Who are we? Two dope. No, let me stop. So my name is Courtney Smith. I've been an entrepreneur since 1999. Quit my job in 2003 and been a full-time entrepreneur for the better part of 20-something years. So currently I have a company that's going on its 11th year. I have an athletic brand that we've been growing and pushing. And beyond entrepreneurially, it's I've been just a student of how to change and how to grow. And so I've been fortunate enough to be a part of this. What is this, year 6?
Yeah.
Year 6, man. So it's been super. It's been just as beneficial to me as it probably has been to others in terms of just having to regurgitate the information in order to share it, but also have to use it and hold myself to it. So that's basically who I am. Who I'm not is an expert teacher. Who I'm not is a guru. Who I'm not is a moral judge, compass, none of that. I'm from the hood just like some of y'all, and I got issues that I'm continuing to work on just like y'all. Who I am is somebody who has found some patterns and paths that I believed could help our community, and so I've been willing to do my part to share them the best way that I can and be a part of the impact, whatever small, minute, or large it is, to help our community grow. And so I've enjoyed being next to this brother right here, and all of you guys who have been a part of this community. You know, the last part is the first, half or 3/4 of my entrepreneurial journey has been without a community or a tribe. So it's way harder to do without a community or tribe.
Impossible.
You can't phone a friend, you know what I'm saying? Because if you from where we from and you decide to stop going out on the weekends and stop getting high and stop drinking, then you basically ain't got no friends. Mm-hmm. When you decide you want to become an entrepreneur and jump in this journey of like, I'm a study, or I'm a do some work, or I'm gonna stay home and do some work. And so when you connect with a community like this, where everybody's doing the same thing, got the same mindset, with the same visions and goals, it ain't nothing better. It ain't nothing better. So I say, if you here and you've been here, man, stick with it, stay with it.
Let me say this to it, because One of the things I had this chance to witness with this man, before I talk about who I am, is, we traditionally associate strong men with firmness and rigidity. What's made Court even more amazing is watching him practice humility and watch him also practice curiosity and watch him embrace change. And I know those sound really simple, but try it. Try it. It's a whole different conversation. It's almost stoic to witness. It's something that I can almost promise you. What reason you can say there's certain type of people you can say they are entrepreneurs, right? The product doesn't make that person; they make the product. And for Court, in order for you to be a true entrepreneur, even if you're taking a stance, you have to be able to adapt, right? You have to also realize, like, when you first decide you become an entrepreneur, the first day you say, I'm going to become an entrepreneur, realize you just went blind. You can't see anymore. Realize that you barely can hear. And third, realize you have mental health problems, meaning that your beliefs are no longer shared with everybody else. Like literally, when you become an entrepreneur, your beliefs are just your beliefs. So that means that when you first become an entrepreneur, you're blind, so you're going to need other people to help you see. When you first become an entrepreneur, you can't hear, so you're going to need other people to help you hear. And then third, you're going to realize when you first become an entrepreneur, you have mental health problems. Whatever you feel about the world, that's what you feel about the world. So you're going to need other people to help you see where other people are coming from. And so you're going to realize that the beliefs that you've held close to yourself all this time are not being validated by the world you serve. And so you realize at this point, you have to have humility to walk that path. You have to also, as an entrepreneur, you're never going to arrive. And you're never going to stop learning if you want to stay in this game. Once you get to the point that you think you know or you think you arrived, you're actually going backwards because competition is going to pass you up. And so it takes a certain kind of person. And watching Court, like he's the brother I grew up in East Oakland. In East Oakland, like we had these kind of brothers that, you say something crazy to him on a basketball court, you got to fight. You're going to fight him. He ain't that type of dude. He ain't that social justice dude. He ain't going to tell you what's going on. He not going to pull his camera phone and record the conversation. He's going to fire on you. Right? That's kind of dudes I grew up with. This kind of man I grew up with. Like I'm used to these kind of brothers, right? But usually those kind of brothers are not good at change. They're just not good at change. And to see that combination, what makes me excited about teaching this class with a brother like this by my side is that he really does embrace the totality of the black experience, but not in the past, but where we can go. And so that's why I'm really excited about working with this brother. So who am I? I'm Nana Kofinti. I own a company called 510 Media in partnership with a brother named Mashama Carter Thompson. Been in business since 2006. Started with $7,000 in a small studio. And when I first went to business, I remember telling the guys, because I started 510 Media, I was trained by a group called 510 Photography. It was a group of photographers. And between me and you, the brother who trained me, he was an amazing photographer. And I was like, man, if I could ever shoot like that one day, it'd change my life. So he said, well, I'd train you. And then I got distracted because a lot of pretty women, a lot of pretty women. And so I got distracted. And then one day the business bug bit me. And I was like, yo, I don't really care about this women stuff. I see an opportunity here. Well, when I made that pivot, I was told day one, black people don't do what you're trying to do. And my first response was, do not project your limitations on me, bruh. That's your limitations, not mine. So I started 510 Media, and I was by myself. At first, it was called In Photography. Trash name, trash design. I was trying to do photography and graphic design. You want to see bad designs? If I could ever find one of my designs, I should be able to make you nauseous like it's COVID. But anyway, so I started in design and photography, and I realized, Anna, you're really bad at designs. Really bad. Don't be full of yourself. So one of my mentors, Walt, who I used to play basketball with, who used to stop me from fighting all the time, he's like, my son just graduated from Humboldt. And so I went to his son, and he said, I want to introduce you to. And this is a crazy story. His son walks in. I got all these women in the studio at Linen Life, which was owned by Daryl Francis. Shout out to Daryl Francis. He passed this year. Beautiful person. One of my influencers. And Daryl said, and he come in, all these beautiful women. And I was like, hey, man, I just took a beautiful shot of these women. Here you go. Do something with this picture. My ego was crazy. Just crazy ego. And so, make a long story short, he did something amazing. I was like, man, this is some dope. It was really simple to him. To me, I was blown away. I was like, man, this is crazy. So I said, yo, we should collaborate and build a business together. He's like, yo, let me ask you a simple question, because before I join you, I need to know something. Why are you doing this? Of course, Masham was so fucking stoic. His dad was stoic, so it's just a continuum. His mom was even stoic. So I was like, well, at the end of the day, I'm pro-black. And I realized, going to the flea market, walking around with dashikis on and telling black people what they need to do, I don't have the right to tell anybody anything because I ain't building anything. So I said, number two, I want to build an institution that is like the Harlem for black folks, where steel can sharpen steel. Great talent can come through, we can sharpen each other, and we can be the heart of innovation in Oakland. He said, that's been my dream, let's do it. That was the beginning of IT Media 2006. When we started off in our company, I was like, yo, I want to have the highest possible standards around. I want to represent black excellence at everything we do, right? Matter of fact, and then Mashama came with the concept, if we're the same as we were, if we were the same as we were next year, if we were having the same conversation this year that we was having last year, we failed, right? And so the goal was every year, if you're not better, then we failed, right? The first 5 years made no money. I'm talking about my rent and expenses was $5,000 a month. I made $5,000 a month. I'm not even exaggerating, to 2%, right? The biggest thing that destroyed my company the first 5 years was my ego. My ego was out of control, right? Because I just knew I was right, and this is wrong, I'm right. And then somewhere on that journey, I broke my ego. Because I got so broke, which, by the way, when you go through your rough times, it's the best time of your life. You just don't know it yet. But me going through my rough time, where I was going to the discount grocer and buying the cheap Cornish game hens and making it through the week off of $20 is no exaggeration, right? What that did was it broke a lot of my personal bad habits. Because I started saying, I must be here for a reason. And it has to be me. It's not the outside world. It has to be me. I'm not about to blame anybody besides myself. And I was able to break my ego, and I think 2 or 3 years later, I did $500,000. And after that, it's just been a continuous growth. So as we started to grow and as we started to learn, and we moved the company from doing designs and photography, and we started to shift towards strategy, because most of our clients was demanding strategy. And ultimately, even to get to design stuff for a client, we had to engage strategy. We were already studying behavior science books, and we were already studying econ books, and we were studying a lot of history and historical books and so we started to shift towards the strategy side. So as we started to shift toward the strategy side, had our first success and failures, and then started to have higher levels of successes, we realized we were operating in a way that wasn't in our culture. The things we were producing, the things we were experiencing, the problems we were solving, the magnitude of companies we were working with, the things we were being exposed to, there was no, this is what black people see. There was none of this. And if we would come back home and sit at the barbershops or sit in our circles or sit amongst our friends, and nobody was having the conversations we were having in these strategy rooms. So I told Mashama, I was like, you know what? I'm tired of black people not knowing this stuff that we're working on. That's helping us grow our company as well as impact other institutions, organizations. I'm going to start a class. He says, when you going to start? I said, I'm starting 2 weeks. Let's go. He's like, really? Come on, bro. 2 weeks? I was like, yeah. My first class, I went on Facebook, announced on my page, I'm doing a class on entrepreneurs. And I'm thinking about 4 or 5 people going to show up. I swear, I think 4 or 5 people going to show up. We're going to sit in little, like 4 or 5 chairs, sit around. We're going to talk about business. Open the doors, about 35, 40 people. I said, God damn, okay, all right. We're going to do this for real, I guess, right? And that was the beginning of 510 Media. Why do I do this? I love my culture. Now, I do love, quiet as kept, I love people. I'm a people-loving human. Like when I travel, I love talking to people. I love hearing their stories. I think at the heart, most people are good. I'm talking about 90-something percent. In a 90%, area. I think that most people are good. But ultimately, my first responsibility is my own culture. And when I watch my culture go through what they're going through, I see that we're so traumatized by such a fucked up past, we can't see the opportunities of our future. And so in this class is designed to help us not only see the opportunities of the future, but how to grab those opportunities, manage those opportunities, and own those opportunities. And that's kind of why I started 5T Media. All right? All right, next slide. Go ahead.
Yeah.
I think I can say my part.
While we do this, piggybacking off what he said, almost the same is that I think my story behind it is this: growing up where I grew up is you have a crew, right? Like you have a crew of folks you grew up with, whether it's your group of friends or your homies or your neighborhood or the people that you grew up around, and the goal has always been to grow together, come up together, let's eat together, let's win together, as a crew, as a neighborhood, as friends, whatever. And so our culture is plagued with so much. When you get older, half of your crew gone, half of your friends gone. Some of them locked up. Some of them didn't make it. Some of them have breakdowns. And so I've always, in the past, I had what you call kind of survivor's remorse, right? Most of us in here are the survivor of their neighborhood. You know, they got a long list of people that either didn't make it or they had to leave behind. And so you the one with the good corporate job and everybody else don't. You the one that has the business. No, so it's always, it's like that a lot in entrepreneur circles. You end up being the only one. And so at a certain amount of money, you learn that the money is not really the thing like that. Money is cool. Money is absolutely cool. But once you get down to your purpose and what you want to do and who you want to be, and like after you dead and gone, what do you want your legacy to be? For me, it was how many people can I help? How many people? Starting with my community, starting with my people, starting with black folks, because we need it the most. And so it's once you get to a certain level in business, if you are look like this, your skin color is this, it's damn near your responsibility to reach back and say, all right, how can I help? I'm on a journey just like you. But if I look back and say, man, I've gotten this far and you guys are here, then let me give you all the game to get to here. I want to get there, but I'm here and you here. I'm going to give you everything I know, all the pathways. Hey, it's a wolf right there. It's a bear over there. It's a trap right there. Move out the way. Don't give you all that so that at least you can get to here. If you ask me how to get over here, I'm going to say, shit, I don't know either. But at least, so that's why we do, because I want to see, it's the same thing. I want to be a part of something that builds a community of thriving people that look like us, thriving, because I believe we can do it. If I'm crazy, then I'm crazy, but I believe we could do it. And so hit this brother up 6 years ago, because my company had got to a space to where I was in the mode of like, okay, now it's time for me to give back. What do I want to do? I want to do like this entrepreneur class where it's just like black folks only, and like people, people that look like us, So I started doing a little research. I'm like, I know it's nowhere to be found. And as I'm doing the Google searches, I guess I got on some kind of algorithm and I see this ad of 510 Media Hope, Black Entrepreneur Class. I'm like, this motherfucker beat me to it. So I was like, hey, I'll come sweep the floor. I don't care. I just want to be a part. You already there.
He said that.
I do whatever. And he was like, all right, come teach tomorrow. That's why we do this.
Yeah. So,
Man.
And let me share one thing that Mashama talked about at the retreat that I thought was so profound. We did an ideation on Hope class and like what can we improve and what should we kind of focus on this year. And one of the things that Mashama said, one of the most powerful things in his class, and I so agree with his point, he said that we are forcing people to turn their finger and point at themselves. Mm-hmm. Like you're going to find through this class You're not gonna get to blame anything. Blame anybody or blame anyone. Blame your family. Blame your kids. blame white people. Blame. I ain't gonna do it. I ain't gonna do it because I'm bringing back my old jokes. But anyway, you don't get a chance to blame anybody. And by forcing us to point our fingers back at ourselves, you might think, are we shifting blame? You're gonna learn in this class. We don't play that game. We're not. It's not about fairness. By pointing at yourself, we're gonna show. It's gonna give you the opportunity to see opportunities, right? Because once you start to say, well, what can I do different? That's where the power lies. As opposed to when you say they should or should not do that. You know, you can have a great dialogue about what's wrong with something about in the world, and you can feel really rejuvenated by the dialogue, right? It's, oh yeah, they did this and they should have did it this way, and then da. But you're gonna realize that when the conversation is over, your life is exactly the same. And we want you guys to have conversations that when the conversation is over, you already see a new path to create something different. And so that's one of the other ones. Now, olive branches, we have students online that are our cousins, Latino cousins. You know, they cousins of black folks. Now, you grew up in Oakland. When we were younger, we didn't know they weren't part of us because they were just next door all the time, right? So Latino folks, our Asian cousins out here, you know, when they start talking about black Asian separation out here, I thought the shit was crazy. It was like, nah, I don't know anything about that.
Not in the Bay, really.
Not in the Bay. We don't get down like that. Even our black and white friends, like the Bay, we ride different. As you guys will find is that for those, I remember we had a student in the class, he was a white male, and he said, no, sometimes I feel like the class is not for me. I said, the principles we're teaching doesn't really know what a color looks like. It's just that my people don't know about it. So get this game while you're around us, because we're friendly folks. We're never going to teach, in this class, we're not going to teach about the bad people. There is no bad people. Is there bad people? You can argue yes. But what we're saying is that that's not the focus of this class. The focus of this class is teach you how to build in the world you exist in. Not the world you like it to be, not the world you want it to be, but how do you build in the world you exist in? Mm-hmm. And so what we found is that these principles I'm using with you guys, I'm using with all of our clients. All of our clients. I'm not reading books and just regurgitating and giving you a black interpretation on it. These tools I use, this is how I eat. So I'm literally showing you how I hunt to eat, and then I'm translating it. And so that's one of the big differences. So in the end, our goal is to empower you. I won't even let you guys come in this class and echo statements of impotence. Oh, as a black woman, hey, we're going to break that real quick. Because you can frame it as negative, I frame it as powerful. I can show you the opportunity. Whatever you are, tall, short, as cute as me or not, whatever, live with that, right? But whatever you're going through, because it's hard not being me, but whatever you're going through, right? Whatever you're going through, you're going to realize all of you guys have power. Mm-hmm. And we're going to teach you how to tap into that power.
Hey, and check this out. For any of you who haven't been to this class, it's going to feel kind of off in some ways if you come from a place of high education and you're expecting a certain level of posturing that comes from the ones teaching it. Because typically people who come up here, they have an air of like arrogance and I'm kind of better than you, and they use the words that confuse you, that you may have to go look up while they talking to make you feel like, oh, they know what they're talking about. I think the refreshing part is, and what was helpful for me and how we try to deliver, is that when I was on the other side of this, I needed words explained in my language. So if I was to read an entrepreneurial book, I had to have a dictionary next to me to be like, okay, what's egregious mean? All right, egregious. Okay, so it'll take me hella long to read a book because I didn't know a lot of the words. So part of the beauty of this class is it's broken down into our language that's easily understood, so that you don't have to break down the complexities of the language to then break down the complexities of the thought or philosophy or the ideology. So that's what the goal is. So you're not going to see posturing up here. You're not going to see fake ass, I'm better than yous. You're going to see it genuine, I want you to get it. Even if I got to tell a story that make me look dumb or make me look bad or exposes some dumb shit that I did in the past, if it hits hard enough for you to get, I'm going to say it. And so same here. It's we come from a place of genuineness when it comes to how can we regurgitate this information so that not only people get the language, but they apply it. You walking around with new language doesn't do us no good. But you applying it is what helps us. And so that's why we pull the posturing out.
Yeah, by the way, we're going to curse. So some of you guys are sensitive about cursing.
Come on.
We're going to curse. I'm sorry. Real quick, shit. Okay, who's leaving? Anybody want to go home? Okay, good. I just want to make sure we're going to curse. I'm sorry. I'm not here for that conversation.
We tried one year. We did.
And it was so bad. We cursed so much that first class. It's like somebody said don't curse. It was like we did too much. Yeah, it was trash. And then we were going to wear baseball caps. And part of my baseball caps is also signaling. A lot of times there's been this idea that there's this threshold between what you know and what those who are performing know. I want to remove that threshold. I want you to understand that, like, for example, if you see somebody super fit at the gym, imagine if fit people made it feel like they were blessed and they had special genes and they not really, just only find out that they really went to the gym for the last 6 years and had a good diet, right? The same thing with this entrepreneur stuff. When you see individuals having money, no, they didn't sell their blood. No, they're not part of the Illuminati. No, they're not having sex with kids. The reality is that the reason they made money is because they developed certain practice, rituals, and habits. And so by us wearing these baseball caps and hoodies and so forth and so on, we're trying to say that, hey, we're two brothers that you actually grew up with. You know us. And if we can do it, we know damn well you can do this. It's just that simple. If you catch me on the right day, I'm suited down with my brim on, you understand me? But in this class, I purposely dressed down to say, I mean, not that I can't dress up or down, but I'm saying, but I dressed down specifically.
Hey, yo. Oh, he got a new one. He got a new one.
We're going to do this, huh? All right, Scott, you don't want to get, look here, I got the attention, baby. Anyway, so listen, so the reality is that we purposely dress down because we're signaling to a lot of people in our community who feel that we know what advertised racism does to the brain. When somebody keeps telling you that underclass, third class, that you're a minority, all these little terms, then it starts to also have a reverse effect, which is make you frame that as that's what your position in life. And so what we're trying to show to you is that that's not your framework.
Yep.
That is not your framework. The past is not your future. The past is not your future. So next slide. This class, we use the word class because we haven't found a word better to describe what the hell we're doing. Let me explain something to you guys real quick. No, it isn't cold. So if you guys ever get a chance to study American history, not the American history that was taught in school, trash, absolute trash. It's like a highlight reel, and the highlight reel is almost like made like movies, it's fake as hell. But if you study American history, you get a chance to see how America climbed from 1900, which was an aristocracy. America was an aristocracy in the 1900s. It was the rich, and everybody else. I don't give a shit. Now, even though everybody else was super, super poor, blacks was even worse than that at that time. So it was rich, everybody in the slums in the mud, and then black folks one layer beneath that, right? This is where America was. So in 1906, it wasn't no pretty place. And because if you drove, let's say if you want to go from Oakland to Sacramento in 1906, that's probably a 1 or 2 day trip. It was that kind of situation, right? Because traveling there wasn't a thing. You just stayed in your town. You married Thelma Lou because she's the only girl left in the town. Looks was adjusted based upon choices and access and variations. But the culture was an aristocracy where if you had a child and you said, my daughter just got raped, the police was like, leave us alone. We don't give a shit about your daughter. We only care about these people over here. America was highly, highly imbalanced. So between 1906 to 1950, we had 2 wars and a Great Depression. And it caused those Great Depression, quite as it kept, the World War II is the foundation for the argument of civil rights. I'll get into that another day if you ever want to put me aside and ask me, well, help me understand that. But what you did discover is that during that time, America was becoming the nation of innovation after World War II. Because during World War II, that was their number one job. They was pumping out innovation like a mug, because it was like, yo, the American government told businesses, look, if you can come up with anything to give us advantage in war, my pocketbooks are open, get down, right? So companies, this is where black people are getting jobs, like, because it was not at the point corporations needed labor. So it was like, yo, I don't give a shit about what race, gender, color. Government gonna give me what is relevant to billions today. Get in here, right? So America, for the first time, it combined scientists, educators, and corporate. They brought them in the same space, which never was before. It was always separate, right? So government, scientists, corporate, schools, everybody came together, and all of a sudden they start seeing these formulas of emergence where multiple people collaborate together to produce these outcomes. Well, another thing that America did that Europe did not understand, they had this thing called trade groups. And trade groups where people would come together from different trades. And if you went to a trade group party, get together, you'd be like, these white men are just in there having sex, getting drunk, playing golf, partying, right? But what you didn't pay attention to, what they were doing, they was exchanging information. And because they were exchanging information so freely that even Europe was like, why are y'all exchanging so freely? What about competition? What about people stealing your information? They didn't care. They was about innovation. So exchanging information. Because they exchanged information so freely, it allowed them to excel in business so much faster and such a rapid rate that it smoked the rest of the world. So America became the leader of innovation. One of the major causations was the sharing of information. Now let's go back to the black community. Do we share information like that? It's suffocating us. Innovation comes from sharing. So this class, in a sense, is a space where we're bringing together future leaders and future entrepreneurs to build relationships, have conversations, right? And in that conversations, we're going to exchange, we're going to give feedback, we're going to trade. In addition to that, those trade groups had educational arm to it, which was introducing new innovative ways of thinking about new ideas, new principles, new strategies, right? This is the same thing. This class is not a space where you come to learn and then you got it. Unfortunately, if you become an entrepreneur, or if you become a senior leader or join the C-suites, you will never stop this learning process. You may not be here, but you're about to be in class for the rest of your life. That's a game you decided to play. Just like if you decide you want to be a professional bodybuilder, you don't get to become buff and then drink beers for a living. You're going to be in the gym for the rest of your life if that's your brand. So entrepreneur, this class, in a sense, the reason most of Hope students have done more than 2 or 3 years is because most of them are active entrepreneurs who are coming here to keep their sword sharp. It's just that simple. You don't get to chance to walk away from this. The day you stop reading, I can tell when an entrepreneur stops reading. Because certain things starts to happen. I can tell when entrepreneurs change their rhythm. They start to have mental breakdowns. This lifestyle requires a certain rhythm just to stay in this game because the pressure and the stress level is fucking real. It's real. And there's principles, a lot of your natural principles you use for day-to-day interactions don't work as you scale. It just doesn't. So this class is, for some of you guys, it's going to be an introduction. You're going to be like, wow, you're going to learn some things going to go past you, right? The longer you stay in this, you're going to learn more and still things will continue to go past you. As the students have been in this class, it's one of those things where you're in constant evolution and you really don't get it until you look back. And you say, oh shit, I used to be there, right? It's the same principle. So understand that's the reason we use the gym analogy, because it's closer to a gym than a class experience, but it's also closer to a trade group than a class experience. But we're trapped in the word class because a lot of us have this, we convene around a class type experience. But if you pay attention to Hope students, pay attention to who your friends have become. Pay attention to who you're talking to offline. Pay attention to the phone calls you're getting through the week. Pay attention to where you're starting to go. You're starting to convene around people who share similar ways of thinking.
Hey, and if this is going to happen to some of you, you're going to hear something and your brain's going to jump into, I know that. Oh, that's simple. That's easy. Oh, I heard this before. And that's the biggest trap that can happen to you.
Oh my God, come on,
The
man.
biggest trap that can happen to you. It's it's not what we know. It's what we do with what we know. And so the goal is, have you ever read a book and you got something good out of it? You're like, man, that was a good book. But then you read the book the second time and it was like you read a new book. That's what hope is. Every level that you grow from being here sets you up for the exact same information, but the next level of the information. Oh, that's what that means when you said that. I didn't even hear that last time because your brain wasn't even set to hear it. It was set to hear the level 1 shit of the same book, of the same sentence. So please fight that trap, that I know it trap. Because if you knew it, you'd be doing it. And if you was doing it, your life would reflect it. So whenever you get into the situations, you got to say, wait, time out. What's the results? What am I doing with it? So I really don't know it. So I always use that analogy like karate. If I say, hey, you know martial arts, right? And you're like, yeah, no, I know martial arts. All right, well, stand up. Come on, let's go. No, I don't know it like that. I mean, I know it. I know it like I know, like I see the moves, like I see the moves, but I don't know it like know it. That's this entrepreneurship shit. We don't know, like you know it once you get up and you do it and you get results from it. And if you don't know it, cool, let's keep practicing. And guess what? It might get boring because I might say the same shit over again I said last week or last year or 2 years ago, but it ain't applied yet. Once it's applied, then I don't gotta talk about it no more. So sometimes I gotta go back to books. It's books I read every year for the last 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years because I'm like, man, I'm not doing it all the way. So let's humble ourselves to that.
And I would even argue too, what you're gonna find as an entrepreneur, going kind of staying in the direction that Court was going in, is knowing is a trap. When you get emotional, what you know disappears. When you're in real life experiences, when money's on the table, what you know, you'll be surprised. Your knowing is not enough. This is the reason you need other people around you, because what you know and how you move. So, for example, wait till you guys get into the stock market and you're investing. And watch how your emotions, your feelings have nothing to do with the game you playing. And if you just keep responding to your emotions, you'll make some of the worst decisions of your life, right? And the cool part, hindsight knowledge is different than foresight knowledge. So you can analyze everybody in this room, like what they should have done, and if I was them. Like you hear about the Palisade fires, right? I'm pausing any response to the data that's coming from that, because everything from the hindsight and fear and the emotions around it, I can't trust any information yet. Right? A year from now, when people give me analysis on that, then I will take value in that analysis. But right now, you have good people going through some real shit, and because of what they're going through, you can't trust information because the information is distorted by multiple reasons, from multiple levels. And so, same thing with this entrepreneur stuff. The stakes get high at times, a lot. Like, if you got $3,000 or $10,000 in the bank, the stakes ain't that high. $20,000 in the bank, still ain't that high. When you get about $1 million in the bank, and one decision costs you a couple of $100,000.
Come on, blood.
Or you miss out on an opportunity that could have made you another $1 million, right? You start realizing, I gotta get this decision game down, and you realize that even studying it gives you the ability to manage, but then you have to know when to actually pull that cord and ask when your peers show up and help you. And you got to know how to build systems to stop you from betraying yourself. Because trust me, a lot of us have interesting past, and those pasts can birth itself at the wrong time and jeopardize everything in your future. All right, next slide.
Straight up.
Okay, so let's go into the class format. Class usually is roughly around 3 hours. If you can't, the East Coast folks, I got a lot of feedback from East Coast folks. East Coast folks, 3 hour is breaking into your zombie time. So it's okay to watch just watch a portion a day and watch another portion tomorrow, right? So class, there's no class the last week of the month except the first month. The first month we just kind of run straight through the January to February because we start late. But starting from February, March, April, May, and June, the last class There's no class last week of the last Wednesday of every month. In addition to that, the third class of that month is going to be a different format. The format is, so we'll say you have 2 classes where we're going to actually teach a subject. The third class is going to be a discussion class. Reason we're going to try to drive and test this discussion format is because we realize that context matters more than content. And a lot of times people will be able to almost repeat the content as if you're imitating us. But when I see you perform, you don't own the context. And so during that class, we're going to have casual forms of hot seats when we get a chance to talk to you about your business and your challenges, how you're showing up to it. We'll have casual spaces where we have ideation process. We have casual discussions where we'll take a topic. And I think the last class was really cool because it was like somebody echoed one idea, another person's like, I'm not sure if that idea is correct. And we got a chance to like actually dance and engage in decision making and debating and discussions. But we're also going to but in that process, teach the format on how to engage in disagreements with people in your workplace or in your personal life to produce a result, as opposed to engage in discussion to prove you're right. So two different approaches. Because the number one important thing when you disagree with somebody, the number one important thing is not for you to be right, is to find the best solution.
Basically.
And so that's all you're doing is you're discussing something with somebody, you're holding your opposition, but you're holding your opposition in desire to find the best possible solution. It's a different tone, it's a different level of engagement, it's less defensive, it's more exploration, it's more curiosity, it's more playing, it's more tinkering, as opposed to having this really harsh approach. The first half of the year, we're going to focus on a lot more leadership stuff this year. A lot more thinking, concept thinking. I'm going to attack beliefs really hard this year. I realized that one of the things I discovered in a lot of my consulting work and a lot of our strategy work is I may get into a discussion with somebody and we can get caught up in our highlights of our points and the words we're choosing and how we're describing our points, but neither one of us are hearing the differences in our beliefs. Mm-hmm. So a lot of times you can sit with somebody that look like you, sound like you, say they're from East Oakland, got swag like you, they sit at the same soul food restaurant with you, but because of your past, you have different beliefs. And if you can't get to the heart of those beliefs in your conversations, 1, you won't be able to see your customers. 2, you'll have a hard time navigating the world. 3, you're a prostitute of social media. Like literally you can't think past social media. 4, you can't manage your team. Oh, and 5, you can't manage a partnership. Mm-hmm. So you got to know how to see beyond the conversation, beyond the soliloquies, behind the analysis, and see the beliefs. Mm-hmm. See yours as well as see theirs. Even know the value of seeking out other people's belief systems. Mm-hmm. That is so much value in understanding beliefs. We're both going to probably tap ego here and there as far as address ego. And then the other thing we're going to discuss is emotional intelligence in this class a lot, first half of this year. Yeah. You might say, Nana, why emotional intelligence? I don't think I'm emotional. Samuel Jackson said, whatever. The reason emotional intelligence is so important is because if we give you strategy and you don't own emotional intelligence, then you're poor in execution. The ability to execute strategy is trash, right? Another thing too is that we're also laying the foundation. So when the second part of the year, we're going to move towards systems and scaling and strategy, right? But as we move towards that part of the year, if you don't get this first part right, I can almost promise you're just going to be admiring fancy concepts. They're going to be. It's almost like if you hear about like some fancy basketball practice and something they do really cool, like what Steph Curry does. I don't know about you, but it's admiration. I can't do that stuff. It's admiration, right? It's different where if I played and I was professional, I get a chance to practice all the time. Like, oh, I can do that now. What he can do, whatever this stuff he does to advance his game. In his entrepreneurial world, you may learn the ability to see us, but I'm trying to help you become us. Big difference. Any comments on that?
Yeah. Emotion, like he mentioned, he's going to teach about managing how you think, helping to manage how you think. I think my job, for the most part, a lot of times, is helping you manage how you feel. How do you manage your emotions? How do you manage how you, your moods, your emotions, and your feelings? Because those are the precursor for you to execute anything. So if I tell you this, a lot of our problem, because I'm gonna put myself in this too. A lot of our problem, a lot of times, isn't the intelligence or the creativity or the talent or the smarts. It's not the problem. Most of our problems is all the miniature times we crash out and fuck it up and have to start from scratch again. It's not that you're not dope. It's not that you don't have it or the ability to pursue it. It's a lot of times we don't know how to manage our emotion. We either make an impulsive decision, an angry decision, a fearful decision, addictive decision. We playing the fairness game, the right and wrong game. We most of the having to start over again comes back to our inability to manage our emotions, our feelings in the moment. So that's where we doing it again for those of you who was here last year and the year before, because we were debating, but this is so important, and this is a lifelong journey, because your lifetime took you this long for you to embed the way you feel and how you manage your emotions into your psychology now. So one class ain't gonna fix that. A year's worth of class ain't gonna fix that.
Nah.
It's constant, and this is just helping you get the ball rolling for you to work on the rest of your life. So that's why we quadrupling down on how to manage, because you can get here and make one bad impulsive decision to have you start right at the bottom of the mountain again. Damn, man, yeah, that's what happens. So that's why it's important for us to hammer down, because like, damn, that don't seem entrepreneurial. It's entrepreneurial. It's
100%.
Absolutely entrepreneurial.
100%. Matter of fact, I would always say that if your emotions are in control, you're living. So first of all, the brain struggles to see reality. We're constantly trying to figure out what reality is. Our brain is constantly creating a map to make ourselves feel comfortable with the reality. But more of us are more disconnected. Now, I would argue that as we watch this generation grow up in social media, they're even more disconnected from reality, right? There's less pinging happening from engaging reality. And so we don't realize that when you don't have emotional control, it enhances the illusions in your brain. It literally will enhance the illusions. Like you hear somebody say, people will be mad at me if I do this. What people is that, by the way? I think we're having a mental health breakdown again. What people are we talking about? Like, we don't even know people like that. Right? Nobody even knows you talking to me about this right now. What are you talking about? Right? But is this, even we say, black people and white people and Asian people, what are you talking about? I'm sorry, how many white people have you met? How many planes have you been on? How many surveys have you done? How many insights have you engaged? And how many hours have you spent with people? Right? I was listening to a young man talk about Skid Row. And the guy was like, yeah, we talked to people on Skid Row, and they say, they lost their job or their family issues or they're going through these things. And the guy goes, look, I was on Skid Row for 7 years. I was an addict. Look, we're addicts. So when you ask us a question, we don't think about being addicts at the moment. We think about, I lost my family, but we don't tell you I lost my family because I was doing drugs, right? Or I lost my job because I was doing drugs, right? So it's like, or even he said the mental health problems. He's like, yeah, we got mental health problems, but some got mental health problems because they're doing drugs. so the ability to even see when somebody's asking you for, hey, how can we help you? And your first response, he goes, they sound with sincerity because their brain separates that experience. He goes, but from being on Skid Row, he goes, even the drugs they're doing today is so strong, it's creating mental health problems amongst people. And he goes, so we don't really understand the depth of mental health. And so what we're saying is that in business, you'll find that some of you guys will show up to the front of the line thinking because you speak a certain kind of way or you're highly disciplined or you're professional that you're going to be good in business, to only discover that ain't it. That ain't it. And we're going to get to that in a second. Mm-hmm. Next slide. 3 books we're going to start off with. We're not going to do the second set of books, and we'll explain to you why. But the first 3 books we're going to start off with is Liminal Thinking. I'm going to teach Liminal Thinking this year. I wanted to teach it before, but I also want to teach some other stuff. Finally, I decided I want to join court this first session and work on leadership development. This first session. So I'm going to do Liminal Thinking. Corey's going to do 2 books, and he's going to jump between the two of Emotional Agility and Eagle's the Enemy. But the difference, there's going to be one change this year, and this is from the our ideation process. One is that there's a lot of changes I'm going to work with because I had a great ideation session with some other leaders. One of the things we're going to make sure we do this year is make sure that we cite our sources. So when we finish class, you know exactly where to go back and read the book for yourself. We want to make sure we're transferring ownership. We don't ever want to hear from you guys, Nana said, our court said. We want you to have the same amount of ownership we have. We're trying to raise leaders. Other thing, too, is resist. This sounds crazy. Stay with me, people at home. Stay with the people here. Resist to make me in court infallible.
Please.
That's very human.
Hang with me for
Resist to make us infallible. Infallible mean that we are flawless. We're gods. We're don't make us gods. I promise you, it's very human. Human do this all the time. Like, why there was people ready to cancel Martin Luther King when you found out he had outside relationship?
Yeah.
Because your brain, you made him a god. He's a human being, right? Ain't too many entrepreneurs not a human being. Don't make other human beings gods. Please don't make us gods. I don't give a damn if your income goes from $60,000 a year to $1 million a year. We're not gods, right? And because that's so important, because if one day you see court knock somebody out on the basketball court, I'm not saying he does that anymore, but let's say you did. Or you see somebody, you didn't see somebody touch my daughter, and next thing you know, you saw me with somebody with a shotgun. It's just part of how I think. Then I don't want you to think that the information we gave you is no longer valuable.
Yes.
Stop worshiping people. Don't worship anybody.
If you see me at the strip club, just go throw a peace sign.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Hey. So, and the thing is, I ain't gonna comment because I'm gonna go too far. But the point is this, and the issue comes down to because here's the thing. It also will hold us to the responsibility, and we should always be held to this responsibility. As long as we are serving you in the interest of growth and never get to the point that in the interest of our ego, we expect you to hold us just as accountable as well. Mm-hmm. But if you turn us into being infallible, you'll follow us to hell. Mm. Don't follow us to hell. As soon as we make that left turn right.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah, I want to piggyback on that. One day, anybody you look up to will fail you one day. It's just how, if they live long enough, they're going to fail you. I used to have this spiritual guru that I used to read his books. He passed away, but I loved his style. I used to read his books all the time, and he helped me learn how to take deep breaths and get calm and meditate. And man, I found out he was snorting coke.
That's meditation, ain't it? Meditation.
But he had helped me up to this point, and it worked. Like, the stuff worked, and I was like, I'm torn.
I love it. Go ahead, man. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so I was torn because it's like, damn, like, you snorting coke. How come you didn't use the spiritual shit? Like, but the thing is, what he said and what he taught was still valuable. He was just human. So you got to learn to separate the value from the human.
And we're not suggesting we have a foul lifestyle.
No, not at all.
And I'm not. I love my lifestyle. I love everything about my lifestyle. We're just suggesting that we realize that people, when they hold you to their standards are all over the place. And some of them might be like, well, Nana would never wear a purple shirt. And I go in purple, like, I'm going to class no more. He wore a purple shirt. What? But I've heard that before, right? There's some people who's like, well, they curse too much, or they wear baseball caps, or they wear hoodies. Oh my God, I'm not your God. I'm sorry. Like, challenge my information. Matter of fact, we welcome the challenge, because sometimes within the challenge, you show diversity of experiences that helps us help us calibrate or help us shape our messaging. So in a sense, please participate in that. Next slide. Oh, we got the situation. Okay. Online classroom experience. Online. This year we're gonna actually approach some ambassadors online for the online classes. So there's some people who are not in California, not in Oakland, not in the Bay Area, and we plan on making sure that those individuals, are getting a rich experience from being online, right? So in our online classes, a couple things we're going to do. We're going to make sure that we're having podcasts. We're going to have clips and books. We're also going to try to work on, you know what I forgot to do? I'm going to start recording the class. I forgot to record the class. Oh, you got me? Okay, cool. Send me the summary. Okay.
Erase the stuff about the quote.
Yeah. So, but we're going to start posting summary of the class. This will make it easy for study her habits. So at the beginning of a class, at the end of the class, if you want to go back and say, which class was that? We want to try to make that more accessible. Third thing, we're going to approach a few of you guys about becoming online ambassadors. So, one of the things I noticed, like, I'm going to speak towards, I'm going to become Kaja's lawyer. So Kaja would, apparently on the dates of December 12th, 2023, she went online to speak to the rest of the class, and she received no response or feedback. So in a sense, I don't want that to ever happen again. I want to make sure that if somebody asks a question, there's been times you ask questions online, and I watch the feedback. Even some other students will ask questions online. The feedback was like, I think people was like, well, should I respond? And I feel like no one responded. So we're going to have ambassadors. I'm going to approach this. They're going to be people that's been in class long enough. They don't really show up to that question, that conversation, or whatever that is, right? And so we're going to have ambassadors that will enhance the online communication. The goal is to grow the online communication. So when you go online and you want to ask a question, it's almost like our version of Reddit, where we'll be able to really have conversation and dialogue that's pertaining to some of your challenges. Remember this, and this is going to sound weird. You don't necessarily need an expert. You need diverse minds. It's much better than experts. And so by we making a much more robust online experience, that environment will yield you richer solutions than an expert sitting down with you, because with people from different backgrounds, it will help you expand your ideation. Last, you don't need people always to give you the answer. Sometimes they just need to disrupt the way you're thinking. By opening up your options, your brain can say, because you have the experience in your company, to be able to say, you know what, I know what I didn't think about, but that happened from our dialogue. And so by enhancing the online experience, the paid experience, I want to make sure that the online paid experience will yield people richer solutions or optionality in their thinking. Okay? Next slide. Go ahead. Go microphone, yeah.
With the books, is there an order we should start reading in?
Yeah, I think. Well, the two books I think we're going to be reading. We're going to be bouncing because both are going to be teaching together. So it's one class you teach one half, I teach the other half. I'm going to just stick with one book, which is Liminal Thinking, right?
Start with Liminal Thinking.
Yeah, but he's also going to be working with emotional intelligence. So I think you're going to bounce between the two. What we will do is cite the class that we're teaching from. So if we do any jumps in back and forth, you can stay with the process. And what we won't do is just, because, let me explain to you, give transparency. One of the reasons that I stopped citing, I used to cite back in the days. The reason I stopped citing so much, because I started wondering, are y'all reading? And some of y'all started to make us the go-to as opposed to transferring the ownership. But then I heard back from some of the people who are some of our senior leadership and senior business owners online. It's like, hey, I love class, but can you cite your sources so I can just stay with you? And I think that's valid. So whether majority or minority of you are reading, because we're not taking in homework to know what that is, I think it's just in our best interest to stay close to the sources. And then that way you guys can continue to dive further into the context. Okay? So let me say this real quick. The reason we didn't announce our second set of books throughout the year, we don't know if we have a rough idea what we want to teach for the second half of the year, but we built this program to serve you guys, not to not to dance and entertain you guys, but to actually serve you guys. So as we listen to you guys and hear the problems and challenges, we find commonality in some strategical challenges, business challenges, and so forth and so on, right? And so what we've done in this class is we might have said in the past, oh, we're going to teach from this book, and then all of a sudden that book never shows up. You're like, what the hell happened, right? It's because we were listening to the feedback and we found some weaknesses that was just kind of like a cloud over majority of the students, and we pivoted towards strategy or scaling or some type of principle or some type of certain mental models that we thought were necessary to help you solve and grow beyond this next challenge, right? We often identify, like, we don't identify everybody in class, but we identify a certain group of students and we watch their lives, and they kind of inform us on, like, you should go this way or that way in class. Right now we have a direction, and we plan on teaching systems this year and scaling the second half of the year, unless, and we said we want to reserve the right to make that adjustment, unless we discover that most of the people that we're teaching, because if we teach a really advanced idea and you guys are at this stage here, it's more important for us to discuss the stage that's right above where you are, as opposed to a stage that's like, 20 steps out, right? Because it's something you hold in theory, but by the time you get there, you're gonna forget anyway. And so, so we just want to say we reserve the right in case we decide to pivot in a certain direction. It's because of the feedback, not because we have memory problems. All right. Mm-hmm. I know I'm getting older, but don't do that to me. All right, next slide. Okay. I think we're almost done with the logistics. These are logistic points because, trust me, these things come up all the time. Long-term learning commitment. Before you get the full value of this class, you're not going to get a lot out of this class if you just come to one or two classes. You know the thing I hate the most? I'm going to share one of my personal hates. It's when somebody goes, I know what hope is. I went to one of the classes. You don't. I promise you don't. This whole year of hope, we cover so many subjects and we grow in a certain direction and it has a certain intent. Anybody is taking most of the classes would tell you, the classes are almost like sewed together and they create this outcome. But if you take one class by itself, it's just no way in the world you can get the context of this class. So the full value of this class is a level of consistency. Remember I said it was the most important hack of the world last year? It's not, like if you're on a diet, what's the most important hack? It's not drink more water. It's not the Atkins diet. It's not eat more and less food. It's not work out harder. It's consistency.
Yeah, and repetition, so reps. And being in a room, being in an environment with people with like minds to share and ideate different information, that's the important part. So, like, we can't be on an island. So you have to commit. This is a commitment for the rest of your life if you want to be an entrepreneur. But this class is easy to make judgment about things that you dip in and dip out in the short term. It's a long-term commitment you got to make. So we're all committed here. The question is, how bad do you want it? Like, how bad do you want it? If you want it bad enough, then you'll make the time. A lot of times we used to hear people saying, well, I'm so busy, man. I'm so busy. I'm hella busy. Busy doing what?
Being broke. Oops, too fast.
Too much for the first class. Busy doing what? What you busy doing? If your life is not where you want it to be in that regard, then you got to kill that type of busyness and start over.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Also, too, this class will not be a copy and paste of last year. If you took the whole last year, it's going to be another class. If anybody's been in Hope, we carry over a little bit from the previous year, but every year there's new stuff that we're introducing. This class is going to be exactly the same. It's going to be a lot of new concepts, a lot of new ideas, a lot of new principles, a lot of new angles on some historical subjects, but it's going to be a very new class this year. So do not come in this class thinking like, oh, I took Hope back 2 years ago. I know what they're teaching. No, you absolutely do not. This is like because the average Hope student is almost a lifer. Relative, it's all relative because as long as lifer is relative, a lot of relatives. But most Hope students they spend multiple years in this structure. It's a disservice for them for us to copy and paste. It's a disservice for us to copy and paste. Absolutely. Because it's inconsistent with the way the reality works. So there's new challenges based upon new designs, new outcomes, new innovations. We're in a world of randomness. And so our educational structure needs to continue to grow with the world that surrounds us. All right, next slide. Wait a minute, go back a slide. Yeah, I'm saying, wait a minute. Our availability, the first 6 months, if you're a new student, we're not available. keep that shit 100. You know why? Like, you got to spend some time in this class before I start having that conversation. I don't have it. I don't have the bandwidth to talk about how Disneyland is not real. I don't have the bandwidth to deal with a lot of anger, emotional, and personalization of things. Like, I tell you what's horrible the first year. I'm gonna just keep it 100. The first 6 months of class, you get somebody a suggestion or advice in class, and it turns into quickly. You get somebody a suggestion in class, it turns into quickly. You attack me, you hurt me, you disagree with me, you devalued me, and it's none of the above. I've never helped somebody in business and didn't like them or try to hurt them, destroy them, hinder them, take money from them, betray them, abuse them, use them, personalize my benefits for. Doesn't exist. It does not exist. Does not exist for me. You understand? And yet, new people, because their lack of exposure and lack of experience, it turns into a different conversation. And so what I want to make sure that doesn't happen in the first 6 months is stick with the class the first 6 months. You get more out of class than talking to me one-on-one, because I'm not going to be that nice guy you want to talk to. And the reason for that is because a lot of times when you talk to people one-on-one, what ends up happening is that they move into a space where when you talk to somebody one-on-one, they move to a space of they're trying to project what they understand business to be through observations, and that's not really what business is. And so at the end of the day, just stick with us in the process and just know that the first 6 months will prime you to have the proper conversation with me and to position yourself properly to have the conversation. But the first 6 months, I'm not available. Now, all the veterans and alumni of Hope, y'all call me up all you want. And once you become alumni, you'll have access to me. The college could call me up on any day, like, not let me holler at you about something. She has, and we talked about it. But let somebody call me in the first 6 months. They were like, why is this dude speaking Spanish? I thought this was Nana. And I don't speak Spanish, so the words you're going to hear won't make any sense. I'm not going to do my Spanish imitation. It's the worst. All right, next slide. Okay, who's this class for? If you're an entrepreneur, it's for you. If you're a leader in corporate America, it's for you. If you are a conventional thinker, it's for you. Everybody else, for hustlers, sorry, y'all, this shit ain't for you. If you're just trying to hit a quick lick and make some dollars, it ain't for you. If you mad at your job because you've been underperforming and you want to be an entrepreneur because you just ain't never figured it out, this probably won't be for you. If you're trying to stunt on other people and walk around and play like you the big dog, it's not for you. So I just want to let you know this class is really going to be for entrepreneurs, leaders, and conventional thinkers.
If you want 10 quick steps to success, ain't it? There is no 10 quick steps to success. If you this isn't a quick lick class. This is reality, like true entrepreneurship reality. So entrepreneurship is hard. So this is a great environment because we all got the same goal. So if you ever been around somebody who was like, man, I'm going through this X, Y, and Z thing and it's hard. And they say, yeah, I've gone through the same thing. Yeah, it's going to be hard. Didn't it get a little less hard right there in that moment? Because you're like, oh, another person went through the same thing I'm going and they just prophesied what happened. That's what this environment's for. So the beauty of it is we are in like-minded rooms with each other, and that's what's really dope.
Next slide. I think we're almost done with the logistics. We're done with logistics. Y'all ready to get down? Are you going to go? Okay, any questions before we do logistics, before we move on to some lessons? Go ahead, Shakina. That hoodie looks kind of tight on you. For those of you at home, that's one of our old Hope classics. Love that one. Go ahead.
I just want to say how happy I am to be back because, I'm a lifer of Hope, day one. And the break seemed so long. And I felt so lonely and isolated. I know, but for a business owner, like in the middle of trying to scale and not having, I don't think like the people around me. So I just am so refreshed and happy. Back in class. Thank you.
Right on, family. Right on. All right.
It messes up your rhythms.
It messes up your rhythms, you said?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's weird. It's weird. Like you'd be like, oh yeah,
Let 'em cook,
end
Tone.
of the
Let
year,
'em
but
cook.
like it messes up. Your routines are so off because you don't have like your midweek thing,
Yeah.
and you don't realize how much you depend on that for develop your thinking. So you'd be like, so, I don't have the thing. And so now it's just more conscious to plan for that.
Yeah.
Because when it happens to you and you don't plan for it and you start to be like, what is going on? And you're like, oh yeah.
That's super dope.
I'm like, this is like, it's a big part of it, and you have it the whole year, and then you have it like not very suddenly. And I think this is the first time that I was like, what's going on?
Yeah, no, it is part, like I said, this, we're gonna get into the habits and rituals and routines of an entrepreneur, and this is part of it. You know what I mean? A lot of us come here and we calibrate, or we challenge, or we engage in dialogue, or so forth and so on, so it changes everything. This first subject we're about to jump into is kind of primer of how we're gonna be moving for the rest of the year. So the first couple of classes we're going to pull from, we're going to talk about some issues that are not in the book, but kind of priming you for how we're going to move forward. Information isn't truth. Anybody confused about that? Information isn't truth. And once you understand that, you understand how you got to learn to calibrate your listening. So when you hear, like especially online today, there's a lot of great communicators of information. There's a lot of charismatic people who make information sound so factual. Information isn't truth. Shabisha, you ready?
Yes.
Let's jump into it.
Okay. I feel like I'm in a high chair. Okay. Understanding the nature of information and truth. Truth is costly to produce. Fiction, or popular culture, is cheap.
So real quick, truth
Also.
is costly to produce. Meaning that to actually understand how things work in society, or families, or in business, there's no fast ways. There's no 10 steps. There's no easy process. There's no just tell me what to do, right? Truth doesn't fall in that category. Keep going.
Truth is complicated. Fiction can be simple. Truth can be painful or unattractive. Fiction can be made appealing.
So this class can't be as fun as self-help classes. Can't be as fun as some of these new entrepreneur classes out there that are appealing to what you desire. Your desire for something to be appealing, that is part of your brain. That's neuroscience, right? Unfortunately, business can't be like that. Now, once you get on this other side, it is for you. But when you first come from, it's almost like you came from a strong party environment and then somebody put you in a classroom. You're like, oh man, this shit's boring, because the contrast is real, right? So truth is going to be painful and unattractive. Meaning that some of you guys are going to tell us about your pain in this class. Somebody going to tell you that I left hope because it was unattractive to me, right? You're going to realize that, and when they tell you why they left, they're going to make up something like, yeah, because Nana wore a hat with .45, which possibly could mean that he's into guns, which possibly means that he kills animals. And I love animals, so fuck Nana. I promise it's going to sound that crazy, because when it gets back to me, they're like, I can't respond. I'm sorry, I don't know what to do with that, right? So, and you're going to find that some of you guys are going to be having the urgency or the inertia in your system. Give me that, come on, give me the answer. Give me that answer. Give me that answer. And when we don't provide it for you, be like, shh, I got to find a place that gives me the quick answer. Realizing.
What?
Oh, okay, we're going there this year. Okay.
Whoa!
That was dope.
That was amazing.
That was dope.
Welcome to Wednesday night.
I'm like, wait, what? And he didn't tell me any sounds, so he gonna catch me surprised, like he'll catch you guys. But the thing is that, so the truth is going to be painful. That means when you're in this class, we're gonna give some of you guys headaches. That means you're gonna think. This is not the class where you'll come in here and be applauding, clapping your hand like, was it Landmark? You get excited and everybody's, no, that's not truth. I want you to be, okay, keep going.
Explanation. Firstly, producing truthful accounts requires significant investment in time, money, and effort for research and analysis, making it costly.
So real truth requires analysis, research, and time. So when you get people at the barbershop talk about, I'll tell you what it is, that's not truth, people. It's fun. That's a fun form of engagement, but you need to really separate popular opinions, like the word popular culture, popular opinions from truth. Go ahead.
In contrast, creating fiction or false information is cheap, as it doesn't require extensive research.
Cheap. Keep going.
Secondly, reality is inherently complex, making truthful explanations complicated. Fiction, however, can be simplified to make it more digestible for people who prefer simple narratives.
So can we read that last sentence one more time?
Fiction, however, can be
Simplified. So real quick, you notice how a lot of pop business books try to simplify everything for you? Okay, keep going.
To make it more digestible for people who prefer simple narratives. Lastly, the truth can be uncomfortable or unappealing, especially when it concerns personal or collective matters. Fiction, on the other hand, can be tailored to be as attractive as desired.
So there's one of the reasons, if you ever hear me say I don't like self-help groups, is because that's what they do for a business. They design information to be tailored to fit what you need, but often leaving you without the resources you need to make those changes. The actual truth is going to require for your subconscious to kick in. Do you realize that those classes, like those self-help classes, are designed based upon neuroscience? They're totally aligned with the way your brain works. Your brain does not want to think. It's called heuristics. Your brain wants to make simple decisions and create simple answers, simple solutions, and keep it moving. Now, when somebody talks to you and you have to turn that subconscious brain on, you're burning so many calories that your number one goal of your brain is to keep you alive, not eat up a lot of calories. This is why you don't like meeting new people, because you have to burn a lot of new calories to meet new people. There's a lot of things you do your brain tries to avoid and navigate around. So a class like this is going to burn some calories. I don't know about you. When I get home, I go to sleep so quick. I am exhausted, right? Because I'm burning a different set of calories. If we were doing a fun class, like a DJ, a heuristic, and we're getting you guys hyped up and we're playing these cool games and you're having a good time and we're really tailoring it to keep you happy, the room's packed. Let's say the room, we have a whole auditorium of people. But if you actually measure our percentage of results, I bet you it'd be very extremely low. People be inspired that first week and they will credit changes in their lives and highlights in their lives to us because it's this game that we could play. But ultimately, 1 year later, they're on the same trajectory.
Yeah. So that's one of the reasons why we are using the Ego is an Enemy book, is because our bodies, our conscious mind, everything is designed to protect us for survival purposes. So when somebody gives you a harsh truth,
Oh, yeah.
the first thing you do automatically is defend, protect, tense up. So the first thing out your mouth is something defensive. And that is what prevents us from absorbing the truth that can help us grow. So that's why bringing the ego down enough so that when truth comes in, you can say, you think my design was trash? Let me check into that. Why? Tell me more about it versus, what, you a hater? Or you don't know what you're talking about, or you not my customer, or any other reason that you can come up with to deflect versus allowing the truth to come in. And so that's why the book we're coming up with. Truth, hopefully at the end of this year or at the end of some point, truth becomes your friend. When you see truth, imagine the letters truth coming in and they turn into dollar signs coming into your body. They turn into dollar signs. Like, that's how I view truth now. It turns into money for me. Any feedback I get, positive or negative, anything that you have going on, it turns into money, and you learn to love truth. No, you want the real or you want the fake? You want me to sugarcoat it? You want the real? We don't even talk sugarcoat.
Yeah, we don't
We only play in the real. And that's one of the goals of everyone in this class is to learn to love truth.
Hey, well, we taught this years ago, and Pastor Chris is saying it all the time. One of the reasons we don't provide report cards because your bank account is your report card.
Straight
You
up.
talk all that shit you want, look at your bank account, it'll tell you the truth. When you look at that account, you'll say, "Oh shit, I've been lying all day long."
So honest.
that shit take away all that bravado and all that beating your chest. When your bank account says, "Help me, please," or I say, "Do you want to invest?" You talking about what you want to make you something? You want to make a sandwich? That's all that you can invest. It's time and energy because you have no money. All right, let's go to the next slide.
right.
We're still in the same concept. Shamisha?
Firstly, course suitability and caveats. Firstly, all right, Sydney, caveats. No, I'm kidding. Firstly, producing truthful accounts requires significant investment in time, money, and effort for research and analysis, making it costly.
So one of the reasons, like for example, this fire, right? Trump comes out and go, you don't have enough water in the hydrants. Then firemen gather with some real reporters and find out no matter how much water you had in those hydrants, you wouldn't put out that fire with that wind. 2, you couldn't get planes in the air. 3, when those fires took off, houses had sprinkler systems, and all the sprinkler systems were going off at the same time. So imagine all those fire trucks, all those sprinkler systems, there ain't enough water in the world to get to those fires, right? But what happened is that for like the last 4 or 5 days, all we heard is, LA is poorly managing their water. And we're not saying that LA doesn't have infrastructure challenges, because it always has. If you drive through LA, you can feel the infrastructure challenges. But the fact of the matter is that the truth, the information that was out there was LA did not have enough water in their fire hose. The truth is that it requires a lot more investigation. It requires for you to sit down with firemen going, hey, what would it have taken? You have to know somebody who knows something about fires. What would it have taken? You have to know somebody who knows about building materials. What would it take? You have to know somebody who knows about land design. You might say, in hindsight, Governor Newsom should have did A, B, and C. Maybe he should and shouldn't. But hindsight knowledge and foresight knowledge, meaning that if you was in that position to make that same decision with the information you had, what decision would you have made, right? But when you have hindsight knowledge, it's easy for you to sit around and be like, well, if I would have did this, no, you wouldn't have. You don't know all the things that's pulling on that individual or that team's leadership's attention. So truth doesn't necessarily have to align with what you feel, which is very, 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 very powerful. We're going to do an exercise next class. I'm going to give you an example to expose you to some uncomfortable truths. And I want to see how you guys actually show up to this conversation. So keep going.
In contrast, creating friction or false information is cheap as it doesn't require extensive research.
So this is when you ask people, so for example, let me give you an example too. Anybody's been hanging out with me for the last 6 months, I've been changing the way I talk about things. You say, no, why did Libby Schaff or why did Shane Tao do this or that? In the past, I would have said because of this. You can't do that. The world is so complex that simple answers don't fit complex worlds. The world is a complex adaptive system, meaning it is always random things, a whole bunch of complexities, integrating, producing outcomes, right? Mm-hmm. You can remove one variable and have zero impact, and sometimes even make it worse, right? Because that's how complex systems are. So when somebody gives you one causation to a complex situation that has multiple causations, quite often all I'm doing is validating my ego or validating the point I feel. So what I will tell somebody is like, I may have a correlation or I may have a contributing causation, but I don't have the causation. And then one of the reasons I will not have like I was talking to Sean today, I said, this whole conversation we had about this subject we discussed, a great conversation. But what we might discover by time we get home, or if we ever got a chance to have a job where we're charged with working on that problem, that all of our conversation was irrelevant. It's this little small thing over here that was causing all the problems, right? Or it's a combination of these four things over here. But the most popular conversation you ever have about something usually has nothing to do with the causation. So, you always say, well, why does this racist thing happen? The more you uncover history, you start saying, oh, okay, well, oh, shit, okay, oh, shit, okay, oh. And then you got to go beyond that history and understand what happened before that primed that situation, right? And you realize that simple answers does you no service if you want to solve the problem or even dance in that market. Meaning that you're trying to find opportunities in a certain market, but you're analyzing market with simplicity. The problem with that simplicity is you can't see the market you're trying to serve, and you can't even exploit that market. You may start a business that sounds so good to you and your friends, but because you simply did not understand the market you're trying to serve, the market doesn't have any value on your product or services. Mm-hmm. So complex thinking, sorry people, you're gonna have to learn how to embrace complex thinking, because as you grow, the shit gets more and more. It ain't okay. It's not like a hard, like, when you was in school and somebody said you want to take calculus and you're only in algebra and you're thinking, oh my God, this is just too much. How am I gonna do calculus? I'm only in algebra, right? That's a real feeling. In business, it's a gradual growth. One day you're just doing basic math, and one day you're doing trigonometry. You don't even realize you got there, right? But in order to make that transition from basic math to trigonometry, you got to have a rhythm, a way of approaching the world and seeing how things work. And then you adapt and you learn little pieces at a time. But then one day you'll sit in front of somebody who has simple math, and they'll say, I don't know what the fuck you just said to me. Like, you think you're talking normal like you used to? Realize the person's eyes is like looking around like, when can I escape this person, because they're not talking rocket science? That's how the person sitting in front of you is starting to look. And it's because you start to accumulate and grow to the point that you became more and more advanced. But what you're going to realize is, as you advance, there's still a desire to want to simplify things because your brain wants to simplify everything, right? There's a desire to also simplify things because you want to belong to circles of people who are talking simple, and you want to identify with that circle, not realizing that most of the simple solutions to complex problems are wrong. Mm-hmm. They're incomplete. They're not saying they're not maybe correlation or part of the causation. It's just incomplete.
Also, a lot of times our actions come from certain levels of execution that we think is right, because it comes from our belief. And our belief a lot of times is what we consider truth or false, or truth or make-believe. Most of the times comes from a belief. But what we're going to uncover is that those are beliefs and not truths, because those beliefs come from stories. So we run with these stories a lot of times that we grow up with, and why we do the certain things that we do and where it comes from, and that turns into our truth. But once we realize it's just a story, and that story comes from who knows where. Our stories are not our truth. Once we break down and realize, damn, I do that because that's where my parents did, or my mom did, or my friends did, and they taught me that. And I adopted it and ran with it and called it truth. We can't get that twisted too. Like, there's absolute truth and there's relative truth. And so we have to get away from any form of make-believe if we want to make what we want to do grow. Any form of make-believe. And yes, sometimes great stories that we have can help us build something, help us grow something. It can motivate us to do some stuff, not to quit or not give up or pursue things, but we gotta have a good relationship with truth and stay in that lane so that we can prepare accordingly.
You are not a student. You're not a student of make believe. You're a master of make believe.
Absolutely.
I mean, you know how it works because you're gonna use it in your marketing, right? But you're not a student of it.
Yeah,
it's a big difference.
Yeah, Nike says everybody's an athlete. That shit ain't true. But guess what? Guess what? The mom who like watches the commercial and she has a lot of kids and can't go to the gym, she feels connected to that. So guess what? She gets Nike. You sell it, you don't smoke it.
You understand me? Keep going, Shabisha. Feel me?
Secondly, reality is inherently complex,
Complex adaptive systems. Go ahead.
making truthful explanations complicated.
Always complicated. Go ahead.
Fiction, however, can be simplified to make it more digestible for people who prefer simple narratives.
That's that. There you go. You know, all you need to know is I learned that a long time ago. Let that shit go. Let me keep it simple. Don't tell me. How about that? Another thing too is that okay. I want to give you guys an example. Let me see. What I want to say. I had an idea. I was like, prefer two things. One, it was the first was complicated. Making truthful explanations. Something I was gonna tell you guys about something that was really crazy that I experienced. Okay, it come back to me.
But in the meantime, I want to double down on that. if you are not uncomfortable in this class, something's wrong. If you're not uncomfortable, if you like, you give me a stank face or Nana stank face, like, man, that don't make no sense. Or like, that just hurt my feelings in a way. That means we're in the right track. We're supposed to make you uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. If you like doing this all night, every week, we doing wrong.
Mm-hmm. Ashe.
Like, it's cool to be like, oh, I feel that occasionally, but we want to make you uncomfortable. So that's what the purpose of this is to get you in a place to where you like, man, what you said got on my nerve, or that hurt me, or that pissed me off, or I don't agree with that. That used to be my thing. I would say, I don't agree with that. You know why?
No, keep saying it. The more you would say, I don't agree with that. I'll fight you for that.
Nah. It's because
and of course he fights you. And you know, like you gotta take it, like you gotta almost pause your
no,
because he ain't no soft dudes. But you used to say that. Come on, you used to say, I'll fight you for that.
It's just I don't want to run the risk of absorbing that and being wrong and having to change. So my body has to resist this. So it almost like it feels weird to me. Everything in me's fighting it. Tone, yes, you used to do the same shit.
Yeah,
that's
Tone,
why you look at me like that.
Yep.
Like, oh man, I can't let this enter into my spirit. And it's like, and so if we ain't on that, then we not doing our job.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Hey, Tone would just cut me off right mid sentence. Be like, hey, I gotta go, blood. Wait, hold on.
Yes, that was funny. Keep going. Go last paragraph. Keep going, Shamisha.
Lastly, the truth can often be uncomfortable or unappealing, especially when it concerns personal or collective matters. Fiction, on the other hand, can be tailored to be as attractive as desired.
So that's getting into also herd dynamics. We want to be cool with people around us. So we built a whole culture and language around being cool with people around us, which means that we're often speaking in a way that makes everybody feel attracted, desired, valued, whatever. You know, girl, I see where you're coming from, right? No, you don't. Stop it. Cut it out, right? If he says something I don't agree with, I'm like, I hear you, but why you do it that way, right? That's my way I would change directions. Another thing, too, is I've been in this class, and people come to me one-on-one. That's why I said the first 6 months, I don't want to talk to anybody. The first 6 months of class, because I've been in this class before and I've given people advice, and when I heard what they said I said, it's not what I said. They say none of first of all is judge me, trying to tell me who I wasn't. He gonna tell me he's better than me. He gonna tell me that I was stupid, my idea was dumb. None of those things came out of my mouth. I may say, hey, that's the wrong approach. You should think about this strategy over here. Let me tell you why this is the wrong approach. Have you gathered this kind of data? I don't think what's your motivation for going that direction? It turns into like Nana is devaluing me. He doesn't value me as a person. He's sexist actually. He's racist. He hates genders of all types. So I promise you, I've been accused of everything. And when I go home, I don't care. Like I don't, you know what's so crazy? I'm at a point in my growth. You know how you fight most? You don't want quick hacks on depression and mental health? Is serve others. That's the coldest hack in the world of depression and mental health. Is serve. If you're going through a lot of shit, it's probably because you think about yourself too much. For a lot of people. 1, I serve others. 2, as you grow and live for something bigger than yourself, you don't make a person that's standing in front of you the moment you take a great stand in life. So, for example, you bump into me, I'm going to take a stand and let this person know who I am. My life's so big, you bump into me and be like, as long as you don't bump me twice, I'm going to keep it moving. Because my life is bigger. Or I hold doors open for every race in the world. Mm-hmm. My life is big. When my life was small, I ain't holding the door for this white boy. I ain't holding the door for this ugly person. I ain't holding the door for this short, tall person. Right? I had all these concepts because I was using all these individuals to define my personal value. Now my value is greater than any individual walking this earth. I don't live my life around. So for me to hate you is close to impossible. Unless you come for me and you've done something destructive to me or you've taken a lot of money out of my pocket, because even all my staff has lost some of my money somewhere. But I'm talking about you come for me. The chances of me hurting you and like living my life, it would destroy too much of me to hate you. I gotta carry the weight of my hate for you. I don't want that weight. I like to act like I'm a jogger. I take minimal when I walk down the street. So at the end of the day, it's like for me to walk around with distaste or hate or rumors towards you. I'm sorry, I can't give that to you. Maybe you into that world, that's too wild for me. So in a sense, when people say Nana gave me some advice, why am I talking to you if I'm trying to hurt you? I'm not going. If I'm trying to if I want to hurt you, trust me, we're not talking. We ain't got a lot of words. It's quick. That's it. Next slide. This last part of this one.
Economic crisis research. To produce a truthful account of an economic crisis, one of those, one needs to invest time, money, and effort in doing research and analysis.
So if you want, I talked about this, I think it was 3 years ago. I said, observation knowledge in business is the worst knowledge in the world. You ever see these guys go, I wrote a book. I sat with hundreds of entrepreneurs and I wrote a book. I don't give a fuck about your book. I give 10 cents of a shit about your book. Observation knowledge is the weakest knowledge you can have in business.
Yep.
You got to get in there and like learn from, if you want to learn from somebody, learn from people who actually do the work. They actually gauge the battles. They actually learn from the experiences. People who said, I read, I heard, or I used to work for somebody who was an entrepreneur and I want to teach you about it. No, they can't teach you shit. I'm just going to call it what it is, right? So in order for you to learn this business stuff, you're going to have to invest some time. You're going to invest some money. You're going to invest effort. You got to do some research. You're going to have to perform analysis. Without those basics, you're not going to get this truth. You can't shortcut this truth. And that's why I hate all the books that have implied. We had a conversation about pop books. There's certain pop books that are good pop books because they onboard you, they on-ramp you to a more depth form of information. The pop books and pop leadership that I cannot stand is pop leadership and pop books who suggest all you need to do is. The simple steps are the easy way to get it done. All you need to do is listen to me. I can teach you how to make millions like I made millions. That's all tones of manipulation. In this class, we're never going to approach it from that perspective. This shit is complex. And anybody could realize, for example, let's say you open a business tomorrow and somehow you are able to make $100,000 in the first day. You're going to find keeping that $100,000 and expanding $100,000 is where the complexity starts. I don't care what ask a basketball player who made millions, who kept their money, and those who didn't make millions, didn't keep their money. Pay attention to the level of complexity. It's a big difference. So this game you're getting into, I don't want you guys to fear complexity because you will grow into it naturally. But just know, be aware there's a lot of false prophets who are going to start with the simple, the easy steps. It's just as simple as this. The problem is that life is not simple like that.
Yo, I'm keep it 100 with you. Entrepreneurship is the equivalent of wanting to be a pro athlete. It's the equivalent of that. So if you approach it with the same, I got a good idea, I could just do this, or I know my partner just built a business and blew up on Instagram, all of that is going to stunt your growth and it messes up the reality in your mind. It's the same type of discipline needed, the same type of commitment needed to be a pro athlete. Your diet has to change. Your daily habits have to change. You can't go out kick it and hanging out like with everyone else like you used to. You have to study. You have to put in the work. You have to sacrifice, invest every single day. You may put in work for 3-4 months and it doesn't feel like nothing happened. But you keep moving into your system. It's that type of mentality. It's pro athlete regiment mentality. If you don't have that, then basically what I see a lot of times is people playing the entrepreneurship lottery. They just, I got an idea, I'm gonna put it on the market. It didn't pop. Oh man, that's just what we doing? Versus understanding that everything is in steps and it applies how wide you are, meaning across the board what you do, and how deep you are, how much your commitment you have to this. And it's not going to happen overnight, period. And one thing that we both don't care about is the one person that made the shit happen. If we say, look, this is the highest probability for you to succeed, and you say, well, that one person over there. Listen, there's a person right now who hasn't ate or drank since they were 16 and they in their 30s and they living just fine. With 8 billion people, like anything and everything can happen.
Okay, variations.
There's no absolutes in this world. So there's always going to be exceptions to any rule. We're talking about probabilities for you to succeed. So like play the game of commitment, structure. You're becoming a pro athlete that you can do. You can be it. But it's that type of mentality and commitment.
Next slide.
Limits of rationalization.
This is so important, people. This is another. Now we jump into another subject. This is about thinking. Go ahead.
Rational thinking is a valuable tool for decision making, especially in structured environments.
Key word. Rationalization works really well in a structured environment. You have a job. Those of you got jobs, and you're real rational, and it's working for you. It does. Not out here. Keep going.
However, when it comes to scaling a business, it has its limits due to the complex, dynamic, and often unpredictable nature of real-world markets and human behavior. Mm-hmm. Here are some key limitations.
So, real quick, before we get into limitations, a lot of times, those of you who over-leverage rational thinking because you gain status from it, you've been the person at the party, and people are like, man, you're so smart. Oh, my God, right? Some guy told a woman, oh, my God, woman, you're my wifey because I had never met a woman who think like you. Rationalization works really well in a structured environment, structured friendships, structured households. Right? Like, I promise you.
What?
Hey, I promise you this is so. We're at a point now in business, in our growth. In our first 5 years, rationalization got me through those first 5 years. Rationalization would have destroyed me once I grew. I had to realize rationalization has its limitation. It has so many. I'm not saying that you shouldn't be rational in your thinking. You got to realize that you just don't have all the variables to access for your rational thinking to work. So you have to learn how to think beyond your rational thinking. And we're going to teach you what that is throughout this year. But you're going to find out that rational thinking in scaling a business is not a superpower. It's actually a weakness. And this is why a lot of people who come from corporate America who decide to jump into entrepreneurs, they jump into the sea and they have all this rational gear, right? Rational swimming gear, rational shoes, rational glasses, rational breathing apparatus, and all of a sudden they're just drowning. And you're like, what the hell happened? It's because rationalization by itself is not strong. Even when I meet some people, they play the smart game. I'm smarter than you. Oh, I'm much smarter. I have this degree. And you're trash in business. And they find out, ask a lot of professors who taught business, who decide to go out and do business and realize, I don't know shit. Mm-hmm. Theory of business and doing business is a huge gap. So rationalization serves you well on day-to-day combat. It is trash when you're talking about dealing with the unknown, randomness, variability, probability, uncertainty. All these variables, volatility, all these kind of variables are anti-rational friendly. It's just not rational friendly at all. Next slide. So we're going to discuss what entrepreneur isn't. All right. So we're going to debunk a few entrepreneur myths, right? Mm-hmm. So the first phrase I came up with is, the mechanic is not the car company.
That's a good one.
The mechanic repairs the cars. The mechanic repairs the car company creates. A lot of you come from corporate America, and you guys are mechanics. You guys are excellent mechanics. You guys worked inside of a company. You built hella shit for companies. You repaired hella shit. You fixed hella shit. You kept hella shit going. You just wasn't a company. I think a lot of people who are teaching business right now, they're the mechanics who are teaching like they're the entrepreneurs. They don't know how to create something. We are actually in the wow with no format. We have historical rules and systems and mental models that exist around us. But you got to even know where they go and how they be placed. Where when you're in a corporation, there's format and structure. And that format and structure gives you a false sense of... So you ever sit with a mechanic, and you ever sit with a mechanic, be like, you know why GM's fucking up? they didn't make the transmission right. See, the way the transmission was working, like, right? And you would think, like, GM is like, damn, what's wrong with GM? Why don't GM learn how, like, they need to talk to this mechanic right here. But the mechanic can't see all the logistics that go into making a car, and even the competition and all the variables, and even the global competition, and what's happening in China when the cars get to China, and where's the biggest sum of the profit. They don't see all those variables and managing all those layers. All they know is this transmission fucked up, and I built transmission all my life. You see the difference? So now the person who built cars turn around and says, you know what? I'm ready to own my own car company, to only find out that, yeah, your cars run well, just nobody wants them. That's the difference. So once again, your expertise, if you came out of corporate America and you had expertise in a certain field, I think, Kaj, our first debate was your talent in corporate America doesn't transfer to entrepreneurism. Because a lot of times you're the mechanic thinking you're going to run the car company. It's two different things. This is why I don't like consultants who've never been entrepreneurs who consult other entrepreneurs. How are you consulting other entrepreneurs and you never run the company?
So glad you brought that up, because one of the things early on that it would bother me so bad when I first started doing things with other entrepreneurs is like I couldn't get people on email. Like I couldn't get people to respond. And coming from a corporate space, that's how we're going to pass information. That's how we communicate. So I email you, you email me, we maybe check in and have deliverables, or you update me on where we were. And I could not understand. I'm like, these people are unprofessional. It would just burn me up. I had to learn how to be doing business with entrepreneurs. It was just a complete different way of people moving. I don't necessarily like it, but I had to learn it.
It's so different that when I see people come out, they think that their experience in corporate America just is a one-to-one transfer. It's not. You're a mechanic. Yes, you can understand how to work on a car that somebody's designed, but when you're an entrepreneur, you got to design the cars. And then you got to design the logistics. And then you got to design the marketing and sales. And then you got to manage all those different variables. And then you got to deal with the politics that surround that. And then you got to deal with the cultural changes in human behavior. You got to deal with so many different variables that come in at one point that you don't get to have this I just work on transmissions and carburetors. That's not what you do. For you young folks, Sydney, carburetors is what they use, fuel injection. It's a long story. I'll tell you later on. So the point is this. And so the reality is that you have to know that there's a big difference. Next one is, entrepreneurs isn't about professionalism.
There you go.
Oh, I can't stand people who think, now we do have a degree of professionalism depending on what we're doing, but it's not about professionalism. Professionalism is a leaf on our tree, it's not the tree. At all. And there's a lot of people who are master the art of professionalism in corporate America. They know how to talk, they know how to speak, they know how to communicate. Read those two lines underneath professionalism, Shabisha.
Professionalism reflects behaviors, attitudes, and ethical standards.
So I've seen masters of this game. The behavior, the attitude, the ethical standards. They got it down. Like you're walking around, they're like, no, that's not professional. Now you should do it this way. And they come out here and think the world's going to respect you because you're professional. The world don't give a shit. It's the hardest. It's a hard wake up call. You could be so professional, and the person in front of you, like, go in front of an investor and do the professional game and not have your entrepreneur game down tight. That investor will crush your feelings. They will make you feel like you're the dumbest human being that ever walked in their space. Go in front of a judge and not understand law, but try to show with professionalism and watch you lose case professionally. like once you understand this business shit, but you see a lot of people who think because they're so professional and they're so celebrated for their professionalism in corporate America, they're going to jump in this entrepreneur space and be professional, and that's all they need. No, not even close. Keep going. Keep going, Shabisha.
Entrepreneurship demands more than competence and integrity.
So that's why sometimes you guys or look at other entrepreneurs or successful folks that's doing it or even doing it at a big level, and you'll pick apart their professionalism and not know why they doing it. I don't know how they making all this money. I don't know how they blowed up. I don't know how, because you're spending so much time picking apart their professionalism that you don't think about the meat of what actually they're doing. It requires way more than the outside behavioral patterns that you see. It's what's internal. Man, like the culture of Silicon Valley, when it was Silicon Valley, it was that way for a reason. They were counter professionalism culture, but they knew what they had, and they figured out a way to infiltrate the market. Same with you. Not that you don't necessarily work on having an element of being professional. Is that
It's not it. It's not by itself.
find a way first, and then clean it up with the professionalism. But a lot of times, entrepreneurs, we tend to distract ourselves with shit that we fail at. So if I put out a product and then I get 0 sales back, I'm gonna go over here and clean this up. I'm gonna go work on this over here, clean this up, because I'm gonna distract myself from the meat of it. How do I get more sales?
Yeah, and you'd be surprised. Like a lot of people, professionalism is also a game we play for status. Can we just call it what it is?
Yeah.
Like you meet some people that they can dress professional, walk professional. They have that professional bag on their side, or professional suit on, or professional posture, and like they'll come to the black community and join 100 black men and women and be celebrated like they are just about to change the world because they're so professional, right? Become an entrepreneur and realize they don't know what the fuck they're doing. You'll see professional people in government, in charge of a department, and oh my God, they walk in the room, people are like, oh my God, that person just walked in the room. They're so professional. To realize they still ain't solving no fucking problems. So you realize that we gotta solve some problems. We gotta change some numbers. We don't get to wear a suit and produce 0 results and get a paycheck. It doesn't work like that. So even I'm in the first year I was in business, I'm gonna give you all full transparency. The first year, I had no insurance. No insurance at all. Right? I was so broke I didn't have insurance. Not insurance. Right? First year taxes, what? Man, I was taxing you with the idea that one day I'm gonna pay it. I didn't have no, I couldn't afford, I didn't have that kind of money the first year, right? But I knew I was taking that risk. And mind you, I ended up paying eventually because IRS caught me. It's like, hey, player, I saw that little money you had. I mean, it was a little bit, but you still need to give us some of that. 13,000. IRS said, give me 3. I said, I'm in the Bay Area. Hey, pimping, I don't care about your mama and your issues. Give me the 3.
That's how it works.
And it's that harsh. And even the first time I had to pay taxes, let me just say some side note. This is some real shit. That taxes you pay when you have a job ain't compared to taxes you pay when you're an entrepreneur. Ooh, y'all have no. Have you ever paid $200,000 in taxes? Okay, that's how I put your head down. She was like this. You know me. Do you understand when you come from the hood and the tax person hands you back the paper that says, so you just make sure you get that $200,000 in the next 2 days? What? So let me tell you, sir. My wife was doing my taxes. This is no real talk. I cussed her out so bad. I was like, "Hey, let me ask you something. You with the white man now? You trying to destroy a black man?" She's like, "Babe, I just did your paperwork, but you can't figure out some better fucking numbers or something." She's like, "No." I was so mad. I was screaming. I'm going through the house. This is my first time I paid taxes. I'm going crazy. I'm like, how am I supposed to pay these kind of taxes? How is a person supposed to survive? Guess what? I wasn't advanced enough to understand what the fuck the game was. I'm thinking there was some fairness in this game. IRS is a trade-off. They don't give a fuck about your fairness. So when they came for those numbers, but here's a second thing. After I paid it, because I promise you, I took the money down there and I gave it to him. It felt like everything was slow motion, like, right? And it just removed my hand. I just watched it go away like, this shit crazy. That nigga put a down payment on a house for this shit, right? But then I realized, but you made this much money to pay that kind of tax? Hold the fuck up, dude. You're thinking about this wrong.
Absolutely.
I'll give you back to paying that 3 G's real easy and then be mad about that lifestyle. So that level of responsibility and moving in a certain kind of way, I would almost argue that entrepreneurism is the ultimate path of true adulthood. I'm gonna call it what it is. The level of responsibility you have to carry you when you're an entrepreneur, also other lives are in your hand, not just your kids. And not just your employees, but even the surrounding community is part of your responsibility. The politics of other people's lives, of other races, fall into your hands. It's the ultimate grow the fuck up. And many of us wasn't raised to grow the fuck up. We were raised to go here, not past the ceiling. So it's not professionalism. Entrepreneur goes beyond hard work and intelligence.
Oh man.
Read that bullet point real quick because Court's ready to go.
Intelligence and effort are essential, but success demands additional ingredients.
You're gonna find there's so many invisible ingredients in this shit. Like, if this is okay, you're gonna realize that there are a lot of intelligent people working their thoughts out within the wrong framework. So you have a lot of great ideas, but it stays in this framework. They don't realize there's multiple frameworks. And you got to know how to jump between those frameworks. You got to learn to see invisible rules that is not in the conversation. Like if you were to walk around and there's a lot of principles and structures and rules of how things work that I never hear walking down the street every day. Unless I run across another entrepreneur and we happen to say, hey, you want to? And it may just roll into the conversation. But do you guys realize that a lot of the principles you're going to learn in this class, you won't hear? Am I lying? Those alumni, am I lying? Like, you will not hear this language. You won't hear this framework. You won't hear this structure. And you won't see it unless you need to see it. So you being intelligent may give you status in the regular corporate world. You might even got hired for your degree. But in the entrepreneur world, until you learn how to master the art of thinking, seeing, and understanding these invisible principles that impact your outcome and how to navigate those things, it's not a chance. How many people come out of college and still believe in fairness? In our world, fairness doesn't exist. Entrepreneurs, it does not exist. It's not about fairness, it's about trade-offs for us. But you'll say, you know, like you see people like in college, oh, that's not fair. We're looking at them like, I don't know what the fuck y'all talking about. That's just not, tell me when has it ever been fair, people? You know, somebody say, American government sucks. I'm like, okay, cool. What government is greater? Which one has it? When has it not? Tell me one time government has never sucked, right? Like once you start looking at, like, put things in context, you realize,
Yo, your degree can get you a job, but in entrepreneurship, your degree can't help you.
no.
Degrees are good networking tools for you to have out there to help network, to get jobs and get good jobs and get good paying jobs. But in entrepreneurship, your degree, and I know that sucks to hear, but in entrepreneurship, your degree can't save you. Matter of fact, it's probably going to sting too. Most of your degrees are hella outdated anyway. So what a degree does, it tells a future or potential employer that you are great at understanding the generalities of a system, and you're connected with the network because you have a level of consistency, which is good. But when you jump in, if you take that with you to be like, oh man, this is gonna help me be a great entrepreneur, rude awakening. Intelligence is good and effort is good, but that's like 2 of 38 tools you need to make this entrepreneurship shit work. Fun fact, I got kind of like a 9th grade education. Like I was in my high school years, I was in the portables with all the special needs kids. See, I switched the word up. Special needs.
Proud of you. Proud of you. Credit.
Because last year I said the hard R and that wasn't cool. So my whole high school was like that. They thought I was a dumb kid. So I didn't have algebra and all that. I had math A, math B, all my high school years. So I don't have an education like that. But I had to learn quickly that there's tools that I need to learn to become a better entrepreneur, and I better jump in these books. Not to be degreed, but to learn how to be effective at what I do. So a few of you, maybe some of you are going to have to be like, damn, all right. You mean I got to read more books? I got to get more. Yes, it's gone. It don't work. not playing this game, because we're at AI now, and we're here now, and social media now. Well, I got a degree in marketing. That marketing degree is dead. Social media has evolved so fast, and the market is so sophisticated that whatever marketing strategy you use from 2001, that shit dead and weak. Sorry. Because now the market has been saturated with that weak ass marketing strategy. It's burnt out now. We got to think of something new, something. So we're on the edge of technology now. We're in one of those few pockets of time where technology shifts in a giant way. So you have to be on the edge of everything, trying to learn and absorb, understand how customers think today. Right now, customers spend 3, 4, 5 hours on social media scrolling. Their brains are absorbed with all your ads. So they keep advancing and getting smarter. So that degree dead. So understand that and be willing to dive in them books.
Next one is, it's not about, okay, this is the one I hate the most. And this is, when I say I hate the most, this is personal experiences that I go through. People think entrepreneur is about just adding a couple of ingredients. I just need to learn a couple things and I can do this entrepreneur stuff, right? It's about rebirthing yourself. You have to learn a new way of thinking. You got to redesign yourself. This is why some people come and go, what do I need to know to do this kind of business? Or what do I need to know to make more money? Or what do I need to know to start my own business? What do I need to know to leave my job? What do I need to know? You know what you need to know? None of the question you just asked is the worst question you could ever ask. The reality in business is you got to learn new habits, lifestyle, rhythms, belief, practices, conversation, you literally got to learn how to be a different person. You don't add, it doesn't mean that you have to throw away everything about yourself, because you can't. But what you don't want to do is think that, well, I'm already a smart person and I've already had success at like a lot of stuff like bridge or playing backgammon or whatever. And I just need a couple more things to make me where I can run my own business. No. No. Oh, I used to manage a company for this one company. Like I used to manage McDonald's and I was like the head chef for like 7 years and I ran my own store and stuff. So I'm ready to run my own. No. Hell to the no. And let me go even further. I was a CEO of a legitimate company. No. Being an entrepreneur and being a CEO is totally different. Totally. You know how many CEOs buy new companies and fail? It's very common. Because running a company is building a business from ground up. Let me say another thing too. I'm going to speak very honest, and I'm about to lose about 2% of our viewers. Bye. Let me keep it 100. I fucking hated these programs that told black folks that the world is going to invest in you. You don't have to bootstrap your business. It's best to master the art of bootstrapping, even if you get an investor, because you'll know how to even embrace or reject an investor.
Absolutely.
If I teach you, okay, first of all, when you first start a business, there's a stage you're going to go through. It's going to be really rough for you. It's going to hurt. It's going to hurt. But you know why it's going to hurt? Not because somebody's hurting you. It's going to hurt to change. And you know you're changing because it's going to hurt. Like when you go to the gym and your body's building, go to the gym and feel no stress. And then look in the mirror 2 years from now and tell me, did you get bigger or smaller? You probably develop new curves and they're not called muscles, right? So it's going to hurt. Anytime you develop yourself, it's going to hurt, right? In that process, when you go through that process, that hurting process is actually going to make you a real entrepreneur. But what if I gave you money in the early stages and let you spend 50,000, 75,000, 20,000, 10,000, 100,000, and you didn't go through the hurting process? You know how much it's going to hurt now if you have to go through the hurting process after you had a taste of that money that's already gone? 2, a lot of people that were giving you money were nonprofits. Nonprofit means not an entrepreneur in Spanish. So at the end of the day, nonprofits was give you advice on how to run your business and never was out in this real world. So you have false prophets mixed with avoiding pain that you need to experience early that's hard to experience later, which means they killed off a lot of possible great entrepreneurs because once they felt the pain, it's almost unbearable because you say to yourself, I was making money. No, you was never really making money. Right? Or I don't see why anybody want to invest in me because that nonprofit was charged with finding black businesses to help out as opposed to being charged with finding really good ideas. So now when you're forced to engage the market, usually you could take that unpolished, rough idea and turn it into a diamond by you adjusting and changing and polishing, and all of a sudden you have a real product for the market. But because you got that money, you're doubling down on that badass rock. And now you calling that motherfucking piece of coal diamond. Everybody looking at you going, that's coal. You wearing around your neck, got a big ass black ring, but you call it diamond. Because at the end of the day, somebody's invested in you to believe that that piece of coal is diamond, even though it can potentially change. You can't see it. So so that's one of my side rants is that we just went through a period I call of entrepreneurial portrayal, but you guys won't see it if you don't know where we're coming from. Because at least they gave them some money, yeah, but they also what psychologically went with that money. So the trick is that in this game, if you want to get in this game, do not come in this class going, just give me one lesson. That one class changed my life. Now that one class changed the moment, didn't change your life. You can't learn one trick in this game and it's just run that one trick over and over and over again. You can't keep pushing the A button and get to the end of this game. You can make some progress sometimes with that concept. You can run that A button for 20 to 20 moves, but guess what you won't do is finish the game. So just guys know that don't look for an ingredient. Look for how should I be showing up to this world to produce what I want to produce. If you want to be a senior leader in corporations, it's also a change. Name a world where people make a lot of money and have high levels of responsibility that don't have to sacrifice a lot of time. That should help you understand that this entrepreneur game requires for you can't decide I want to be a doctor, but then be at the club every weekend. And if you somehow become a doctor, please let me know where you work so I never go there. I just want to let you know it's the worst place ever.
Hey, let me double down on the sacrifice too. Is that do not expect to become successful while still wanting to maintain your current lifestyle. It's not gonna happen.
It's not gonna happen.
You're gonna have to sacrifice some stuff. So if you're gonna have to sacrifice some stuff.
Even maybe the person you're dating.
Yep, every avenue of your life. So even if it's your lifestyle, how much money you spending per month, instead of starting complaining about you have no startup capital, stop doing a whole bunch of shit, and then take the spare money that you have from not doing all that stuff.
Come on, man,
and start your company with it. Like it's people you got to stop hanging around. It's people who aren't good for you that you got to let go, and one or two of them might be family members. Like it's literal sacrifice in this game. You may gotta stop smoking weed. Sorry, you might.
Stop drinking.
You may have to stop drinking. You might. And guess what? If that's what it takes for you to get over that hump to get to that other side, then you got to be willing to do that shit. Sorry. So sacrifice is absolutely necessary for this game, and a lot of times. I know I have done it in the past, like, ooh, but I'm not letting go of this one thing. That's my thing. So I'm like, hey, God, I'll give you everything else, God, but don't take away this, God. Hey, yo, it's real. Like, to me, this entrepreneurship is an extremely spiritual experience because I may not be the most, like, in my mind or even in my spirit, I'm not a moral dude. I don't really think about morality, but my entrepreneurship journey and my purpose changes me in a way where I look like a super square, and I am.
Yeah,
because
maybe like Jesus.
I quit doing so many things, and I have a purpose, and I that it changes you for that. Mm-hmm. Because what else do I got to give up? Well, I'm gonna give it up. I enjoy doing this, but I got to give it up for this. All right, here. Next thing you know, I'm an absolute square, and I love it because of the impact and what we built. So you're going to have to sacrifice some things. And if you're not willing to sacrifice, or you want to negotiate with the game and try to hold on to all your stuff, then a year from now, it's going to look the same for you.
One of our brothers who's really big in Hollywood right now, he's growing really fast in Hollywood. He's one of our brothers that go on our retreat with us. He ate a lot of sugar. I'm talking about we go to breakfast, he would have pancakes, juice, and then and he would have coffee with simple syrup. Then we would go to lunch and he'd have a pastry and maybe something else. And then we go to dinner and somehow he'd have another pastry and something else. I'm like, dude, what the fuck is going on? And he's like, well, my lifestyle is so busy and a lot of times I'm eating at these shoots that I develop bad habits. So we spent the whole retreat saying, yo, you're going to have to cut that sugar out, bro. Because what are you doing this for? You want to get to the end and then die? You want to work hella hard and then die? Like, is that the goal? Or do you want to work to a point where you find balance and then live? And then the way your life is going, you compromise living as well as you're compromising management, compromising your emotions, you compromise decisions, you're compromising consistency. A lot of things that you got home, he sends the email, hey, man, since that retreat, I'm out. I walked away from sugar. Mm-hmm. He loved sugar. he loved, look, I'm going to stop with me, but he loves sugar, right? Because I'm going to get myself in so much trouble. But he loves sugar. And he walked away from it. Why? Because entrepreneurism matters more.
Come on, bud.
It matters more. Like, entrepreneurs are the closest walking. A good entrepreneur, it makes you almost like you follow Jesus for real, for real. Yep. You really walk that path because, look, man, if I'm out there doing shit in the streets, that can get back to my money. Mm-hmm. I got to think about that. Mm-hmm. If I'm out there cussing people out, that's gonna mess. Also, the level of my growth as I grow, like a lot. Okay, I'll say this, and I'm gonna leave this alone. Christians, you guys follow the Bible. Entrepreneurs, we're forced to understand the Bible. Big difference. We know the why. Like when we see that command, we're like, yeah, we know that. We know why that is. We know why we got to do that. We learn the why behind those scriptures. That's why one of my closest brothers is a Christian brother, and we talk about Christianity all the time. Mm-hmm. Not because I'm a practicing Christian, it's because those principles that he teaches, he submits to, I have to live by. Mm-hmm. Can I get a amen? I so hate somebody right now. Next slide. Go ahead.
Ooh. Are we doing questions yet, or is this just an overview class?
It's an overview, but if you want to throw a question in, I ain't tripping. We got a few minutes. We're about to be out here soon.
Okay. One of the things that's been interesting for me is that the kind of business I'm developing, like I can't tell you what's the best restaurants if I'm not there. I can't go order one thing on the menu. I'm having a few things because I need to be able to speak to it. I need to do the wine pairing. I need the brand to send me the goods so I can then do an unboxing to tell you, for me to write a list to say, these are top 5 cookies in the East Bay. I need to eat the cookies. Mm-hmm. So like I eat the cake anime.
Eat the cake anime.
Can we pause, girl?
It's my job to be.
Girls, so
hey, yo.
Hey, yo.
It's my job to be eating, drinking, and kicking it. Thankfully. But I'm having a hard time balance. Like I just started, I took my walk of shame into the gym the first week of the year. Okay, so doing my, thank you.
Hey, come on, give it a 4.
I hate every minute of it.
That's real. That's real.
2 days a week so far, just of doing strength training.
That's
like
good stuff.
Wait, that's right. On rampant, baby.
But that's not going to offset what's going on over here, and I can't yet. And I really can't separate because that's the theme of what the business is. And to be honest, I don't really want to. So I don't know how to balance out what this calls for, which I do enjoy doing, and then like what you were just talking about.
So let me share something with you. So I had a hard sugar addiction my damn self. And I'm so proud of myself. The whole retreat, the fellas was trying different pastries, didn't even cross my mind for 2 seconds, not once. Because I've spent a whole year now. So now I've kind of built a wall where I'm really comfortable being in my space. But what I also found is that if I decide to try something I can do extreme moderations. So, for example, if I wanted to try, so for example, okay, I don't eat beef or pork, right? But if I wanted to try a beef rib, because I'm like, man, that rib looks like it cooked it really well, I would take about this much of a portion. Once I get the taste, after the taste, what's going on psychologically with me? Because as we know, like their first taste is the taste. Everything after that is kind of like it depends, but it's not the same thing. So like if you sip the wine and you taste a small portion of the food, all the experiences, your consumption is relatively low, but you have enough to have a conversation about, right? As opposed to having to eat a whole full meal experience. Because at some point, you're not really getting the experience. You're getting into some other space. Now, right now, I don't want you to create shame or put unnecessary pressure. But I will say as the workout gets good to you, because it gets to a point where it goes from the pain to it gets good to you. Because I promise you, it really does get good to you, right? And then you put a lot of effort, and you can almost account for every pain you've experienced in the last 3 months, and you give them a scale and it says you went up a pound. That does something to your psyche where you start saying, okay, I gotta get something back for this. I'm putting all this investment. I gotta get something on my return. So, but the first thing right now, I'm not really trying to embrace. I'm trying to give you a future vision. Right now, I think why I want to applaud you and why I'm really excited for you is because you went on the ramp. You're now going on the ramp to the freeway. But at some point, you're going to go in and get in the fast lane. Right? And so you'll get tired driving that slow lane. That's why you'll be like, man, I got to go where I got to go. I can't get in this fast lane. And that's when there's this balance between dieting and exercising and diet and exercising. First, just start exercising. And eventually, you start saying, well, I want to be able to show off that I put this whole winter into it. I wanted to do something, as opposed to like, I can just breathe better. Give you asthma spray for that. So in the end, it's in the end, it will find this balance. Moderation is a superpower, and that's one thing I found with a lot of entrepreneurs is that the areas where they have habits that they don't not crazy about, like for example, Court doesn't eat meat like that, right? Like we go to restaurants, he's a vegan, he's a vegetarian type of dude. But if he has to go someplace, he can eat a small portion of chicken in moderation if that's something he needs to get through the moment, right? But you will never see him with like a big ass turkey at the table. He's eating a drumstick. It's just not how he rolls. So that's the moderation thing. As you learn that system, you'll realize you can still live life, especially for example, I eat sweets 4 times a year. So I try to eat a big piece of key lime pie over the break that was this big, this big. I got to this portion and got dizzy. Like I was like, oh shit, hold the fuck up. And I was like, yo, I can't eat no more. I'm done, right? But it's because I've gotten away so far from it that now sugar has it hits me in the jaw, right? So you'll find that even if I want to do that break 4 times a year, I got to have a very small portion to even have that small break because my body has gotten used to it and everything. So you learn to balance these things.
Here's an absolute truth. Sugar's a killer. Sugar's a killer. Sugar will kill you. And from a diabetes perspective, sugar will kill you. Sugar's responsible. Cancer, sugar's responsible. Dementia and Alzheimer's, sugar's responsible. So like sugar is responsible for a lot of ailments in your body because it's a killer. It's an acid. So then you can make the decision, well, do I want to do it or do I not? Or can I enjoy certain things at certain times to play the game to where it's either spread out over time or small portions, or I dilute it with lots of water or something in a way to where I can still do my job, but it doesn't detriment because it's at the expense of what? So it's saying, all right, well, sugar's a killer, but this is my job, right? So it's, all right, well, how do I dance around it to where I still get to do what I do, but I'm putting me first and my health and my safety first. And that addiction's hard. It's man. Hard. That addiction is so hard.
Your brain gonna lie to you every day.
I love sugar. I love it. I was a candy crackhead my whole childhood in the hood. So I love it. However, I had to come to the realization that, hey, you fucking with a killer. So do you wanna keep doing it or not? last thing, my father-in-law when he had cancer, the doctor was like, "Hey, you got to stop with these Cokes. You got to stop with the Coke, drinking the Coke." And he's like, "Man, I don't care. I love Coke. I love drinking Coke. So I don't give a shit what y'all say. I'm gonna keep drinking it." You know, and so that is how tough it is for us to let go, because it's not easy. But just knowing that fact can maybe help. Press that button.
Yeah, it's interesting you guys talking about sugar.
Love his voice. I love your voice.
Courtney, you speaking 1,000. So the beginning of last year, right, I had a cancer scare, right? I just went through a curriculum, and I've been off of sugar for the last going on 5 months.
Wow.
And we got to be careful with that word moderation, with all due respect, because moderation gets us to detriment. You feel where I'm going? So I'm an addict, a sugar addict. It's a dopamine hit. You understand? Sugar is a preservative that pulls moisture out of a cell, but that's a science piece of it. If I decide, I'm always going to have a sweet tooth, right? And to your point, it feeds off a tumor. It goes to the cancer.
Yes, it does.
And et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. What I would recommend to folks, and I heard you say 4 times, dates. When I do my smoothies, I sweeten it with a banana. That sugar is poison.
And really, it's a combination of sugar and no fiber.
Correct.
Let's be because the accuracy.
Correct.
So one of the things,
Which lowers...
right, which lowers the body and take out
Correct.
sugar. 1, 2 is that I don't think we give enough credit to on-ramping. Let me tell you why on-ramping is important. And
I appreciate you saying that to her.
Because what I would have noticed that there was always a contrast between the people who were healthy and unhealthy. And like, for example, when I first came off of sugar, I was drinking artificial Coke Zeros. Like I still drink them every once, but I was drinking them like once a day, right? And my mother-in-law, she's like, "Yo, you should be drinking the Coke Zeros." You're right. But in that on-ramp, to go from sweets to straight water, I was going back to juice at some point. Late at night, I'd be like, I'm just going to add a little juice to my water. Like, it had been, and so now I'm down to just straight. One of my favorite drinks I have, even it's in here right now, is I got a green tea with peppermint in it. I love this. No sugar, no additives, no nothing. Just peppermint tea. It has this burnt orange flavor mixed with peppermint tea, mixed with and I spent a lot of money for this goddamn tea. 'Cause I found it one day at a restaurant. You can't buy it in stores, so I had to order through the restaurant channel, and that shit's expensive. Anyway, because I'd be acting some kind of way. I'm still from the hood. I don't give a shit what kind of money I have. My wife's the same way. I hate that shit. Anyway, so sorry, had a moment. I was by myself. Okay, but sis, because when we see that price, I'd be feeling some kind of way. Like, what, for some goddamn tea with no sugar? But but the thing is that and then I also I had to grow my taste buds to accept water. My whole life I was anti-water. And so to grow my taste buds, what's the sparkling water Topo tea? What's it?
Topo Chico.
Topo Chico.
Topo Chico helped me actually like sparkling water because it was such a sting on my taste buds with no sugar, and I was always like, okay, this is my favorite sparkling water. So I started building it, and then when I go to restaurants, I had to remove my scarcity thinking. So I was always like, what? Oh, I don't want to spend all this money for no goddamn, I don't know these people. I grew up in the hood. I was a poor kid. Now I go to a restaurant, I buy something I really like. I don't go to a bad restaurant, I buy something I really like. Or I just won't even eat if I have a bad restaurant, right? And I give myself that moment of pleasure by eating, like, I might have this broccoli that's just amazing, made by this top chef. The accuracy of the cooking is just amazing. The vegetables, I'm eating mostly vegetables on my plate, which I'm also priming my system with a lot of fiber, right? And then I might have like maybe some crab or some seafood or some fish or some chicken or something like this, right? And then smaller portion because I don't eat all these damn vegetables, right? But what I realized that if I give myself pleasure, a different relationship with food, which was the hardest thing, changing my relationship with food. A lot of times sugar was really dealing with my depression. When you're told when you feel like you gotta get used to not having much, because you've been told you're supposed to have this, because we're doing comparisons. It's a lot more complex because it's not simple. Then you feel like, well, since I can't have this is my form of pleasure. And my whole family did that. Like when we go through things, well, let's make some cakes and pies and laugh and joke and drink. And then we all feel good, but everybody's looking like a diabetes model, right? Mm-hmm. And so the reality is that I had to learn how to unramp myself. And so I slowly moved from, and here's the way I unramped it. You got to measure it. You got to measure your numbers. You got to get that blood test. You got to, I know we're going to go into the side. You got to go get that blood test because you can't feel it. Mm-hmm. When you cross that line or when cancer starts to take off on you, you can't feel it. And you got to watch those sugar numbers. You got to watch your weight. You got to watch your health. And don't get me wrong, if you're lifting weights and your body's trimming down, but you're still holding your weight, that's a different concept, right? But I'm saying you got to pay attention to your numbers, get that data. Don't go on your feelings.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the absence of diagnosis don't mean you're healthy.
Man, you would think, man, my whole life I thought I was super healthy, right? And then I started running. And it felt like I was being attacked by oxygen. I never knew oxygen could be so violent, right? And so now I got my oxygen up. Now I'm starting to whoop oxygen's ass, right? And I think back when I thought I was healthy, I was nowhere close to healthy. I'm 57, and let me just. Can I get one quick second?
Brag,
you know what I'm saying? Hold on a second.
Brag.
I didn't wear where my collar shirt at. Did it fall? It must have failed. I need to pop a collar. Bench pressing 315 10 times. You understand me? Squatting 315 the same weight. Deadlifting 315 the same weight. Doing full pull-ups. Doing full bar dips. Running 4 miles a week and cycling 30 miles a week. Let's go. So at the end of the day, it's like it's all about how you move. Like these limitations and everything, these comfort zones and what we think we can and cannot do. But one thing I keep watching is my blood. Because when I thought I was healthy, I was moving towards pre-diabetic because my sugar was too high. That's what made me say, man, clip that shit. And then you'll find that a lot of these cancers that we're coming down with, sugar is riding on that. I mean, cancer is riding on the bed of sugar. Yeah. And it's using sugar to move through your body in ways you don't have any idea. So it's not just about diabetes and like it causing like the ailments. That sugar is so cancerous. It's ridiculous. So yeah. I don't mean to scare you, but the shit's just real. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Shigina.
An idea that popped in my head when you were talking about, like this is what you do for your living and how you essentially like increase your position to review other businesses. You also have the option to pick and choose how frequently you want to review restaurants or like what type or what types of products or services. Like maybe you have a month heavy on product reviews or on visiting non-food-based businesses, and then you can leverage those like you would leverage a healthy cheat day where you like, okay, on these days or on these times when I give myself permission to like cut up because I'm a counterbalance this with movement, then you can go in and do your thing and not lose off your money. But then you have more of a consciousness and a strategy based on that without cutting into your money. And then you start seeing how many options you have as opposed to what you don't have.
Yeah. Let me double down on the onboarding though. It's hella easy once you hit some momentum and go far into the space of being disciplined to shit on people who just getting on. Mm-hmm. So onboarding is important. So you got to go back to the time where like you was fucking up and you was trying to figure it out and you was failing and going back and forth, flailing around until you got to a place of steady improvement. So onboarding is hella important, and let your body like start pushing your body to its limits, wherever that is. So if it's going to a situation and the first time I was gonna eat this whole plate, but instead I'm eating half. That's good. Next time you do, I'm only on just taste test a tiny bit. Like when I first start quitting sugar, I had to have a sugar day. So Sundays. Don't talk to me. I'm doing my thing Sundays, and I get it in. Because and then over time I will say, damn, I feel like shit. Or I work so hard in the gym, like now my body's not reacting on this Monday like I want. I don't feel like I'm getting the full benefits of my workout. So then I'm like, well, maybe I'm gonna cut back on my sugar day, or just I'm gonna have one piece of sugar, because not the whole day. Then over time, it's like, yeah, I don't even want it. I'll make fruit my sugar. Like,
like he said, with the banana date.
So like onboarding is important, because I want to make that clear, because in entrepreneurship, this is a metaphor for all the other aspects of your life too. So whether that's quitting, you want to cut down on drinking or quit drinking or smoking or association with somebody so you can up your entrepreneurship up, or you want to work on your emotional agility and get better emotionally and not flash on people, or you want to prevent yourself from getting depressed. All the same rules apply. The same onboarding rules apply. So you don't got to get hard on yourself because you do this crash. What they call those diets where you just crash diet, where you quit next day and tomorrow I'm doing everything right. Today I'm doing everything wrong. That shit hardly ever works.
Yeah, New Year's resolutions never work.
Yeah.
Go ahead, next one.
Oh, there was one question.
No, you already said it. Y'all just said it.
Okay.
No, go back. We didn't do the last slide. So real quick, just you're gonna have to get the rhythm down. Entrepreneurism is not only just okay. Have you guys ever went to the gym, really got into a flow with the gym, and then stopped for like maybe 2 weeks for some crazy stuff that you didn't control, and then find it hella hard to get back into the gym? To only find out that your workout is a rhythm. It's a group of your habits and rituals. Mm-hmm. Entrepreneurs have certain habits and rituals. You can try to skip them if you want, but there's a reason we have them. We will go crazy if we don't have them. It's just that simple. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Like it's or you underperform. You have these breaks. You have these interaction crashes. You'll have these stories that will develop in your mind like crazy notes. If you need these habits, rituals, and rhythms. Mm-hmm. It is not I'm going to do entrepreneur when I feel like doing entrepreneur shit. Then I'm going to go back over here and do this other shit because I got to make sure I take care of everybody. Entrepreneurs is about saying a lot of no's. Mm-hmm. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing that. And saying yes to new shit. And staying consistent. Like that consistency thing, rhythm is based upon consistency. You don't have a rhythm, you like, you don't have a rhythm. See, rhythm is a consistency, right? Is you got to flow. Same thing in this entrepreneur thing. There's some things we just do over and over and over and over and over. And you start to see the benefit that flourish from it, right? Like, I can't wait to Kaja experiences that side. Like when she first started working out, she's gonna experience the pain first, right? We all know everybody knows what she's about to go through, where she's gonna be using all kind of new profanity. You're like, that's not even a word. You can't mix words like that. You can't. Those words don't even spell right? But what happens is that once that benefit starts to roll in, it's an addiction, and when you walk away from it, it is almost depressing. And you'll watch how when you get hangry, when you get mad because you're really hungry. When you lose that rhythm, you do the same thing. There's so many things you almost fall into bad rhythms. So when you want to become when you become an entrepreneur, think about this. If you met somebody say they're training for the NBA, would you expect them to have the same rhythm as yours? If they showed up at a party, every week, you'd be like, this fool ain't going to the NBA. right?
Going to BAN.
Right. Or let's say you smoke weed and y'all be smoking weed, and every time you pass, he's like, right? This motherfucker right here. You drinking when I'm drinking, smoking when I'm smoking, party when I'm parking, and you trying to go to the NBA. Come on, blood. So we kind of all know this. Mm-hmm. We all know this, but somehow we want to become entrepreneur because there's nobody. At least with an NBA player, there's so many people watching him or her to make sure that they get to the top of their sport, right? Coaches, schedules, expectations,
trainers.
When you're an entrepreneur, anybody watching you? Nobody gives a shit if you make it or don't. Now, now if you're married, they do.
Oh, for sure.
I need you to figure out what the fuck you're doing and help me pay this bill, right? But if you're not married, nobody watching you.
Yeah.
Nobody watching you. So you got to be able to, discipline is what you do when you by yourself.
Yeah.
Can you put these rules, rhythms, and habits in place and get nobody applauding you, nobody else? Don't go on social media like the old Tone. This is old. I'm going to talk about old Tone. 3 years in, before he was an entrepreneur, in all fairness, because he's not that dude no more, which is Trust me.
He sure ain't.
The only part that he
That's
keep
right.
right, because remember Old Tone?
That's right.
This week, y'all, he's in the LL Cool J. This week, y'all, I'm starting getting in shape. I'm doing a 30-day push-up. So each day I'm gonna do a couple push-ups to remind myself. And then plus I'm gonna give you a long ass speech while I did a push-up. He was looking for external validation, and that's why he wasn't doing it. First thing Tone said to me when he pivoted and became serious about, when he became an entrepreneur, when Tone really became an entrepreneur, he said, I said, Tone, you hella different. What happened? I put my head down, bro.
Mm-hmm. Hey, yo.
You know what? I hate this.
There you go.
So the reality was that being an entrepreneur is you're moving and you're not looking for praise.
Yeah.
You're moving. You're not on social media. You're not moving. You're not telling anybody like last week I worked really hard. I made this much money. I don't know what the fuck that means.
Yeah. Hey, you know why too? In a lot of ways is because the game there are no guarantees, right? So there's input and there's output, and sometimes as you're working through, you don't even know what's going on. So our expectations be linear sometimes, meaning I put this much in and I expect this much out. So if we take it back to working out, it's like I worked out for a week. I get on a scale, nothing happened. So then I got depressed and I ate bad. Then I got on the scale and lost weight. So then I'm like, wait, what's going on? So then I work out again and then I gain weight. Sometimes it's not linear. As your body's trying to figure things out, you trying to figure things out, you're confused because you're not getting the results you're expecting. That's the same with entrepreneurship. You can be doing the same things right, and you're expecting this perfect outcome every time. That's how you'll get depressed and be like, man, I quit, or something ain't right, or why is this happening to me? Because this is a lifestyle. This is an over time thing, over the lifetime of what you're doing, over years of what you're doing, where you monitor yourself and look for certain outcomes. That's why we don't play the prescription game of like, oh shit, hey, I got this problem in my business. What you think I should do? Oh, well, take 2 sips of this and call me in the morning. Like, that is not how it works, because what if it don't work? Or what if it does work?
Still bad.
It's still bad. Why? Because now you're relying on some external source. You couldn't figure it out on your own. What if that person who told you moves away and you never talk again? Now you stuck. So, and the market changes and that same 1-2 punch don't work no more. Now what?
Or the rule of probability, which says even a bad idea can work.
You got lucky. You rolled the 7 on the first roll. Well, then, so that's why entrepreneurship is over the long game. It's over the lifetime. That's why if you do, this class helps you if you do blow up. Say you hit a hype cycle, boom, you just hit it. You know, if you say, man, we just made a whole bunch of money. Okay, cool. What's next then? What's the plan? Because a lot of times if you ain't experienced it, a big hit, you might think, oh man, this is going to last forever. Or we in it. We in the money now. No, we gonna prepare you for what's next.
Yeah, the real truth.
The real shit.
Next slide. We got two slides left, y'all. So here's some key values that you need to focus on, that you're gonna have to embrace. But the first one is the hardest one. Hope this program understands that black folks have trauma. We have traumas that's baked in. Our trauma is baked in real.
True.
We got that slavery shit is real, and everything that happened between now and slavery has been real, right? Jim Crow was real as fuck, and even systemic racism that is on another level is real. We're not going down to social justice level. We're not going down to pro-black level, but we have to recognize anytime we design something with our people in mind, we got to take into consideration the impact of trauma. In the crack era, that crack era, we still suffer from the crack era, right? Mm-hmm. So a lot of times when you tell black folks they got to be in service, it triggers our trauma. Mm-hmm. But there's a difference between service and servility. And many of us have only experienced and have trauma based upon servility, which is you are a slave to somebody else. But when you're an entrepreneur in your company, you are actually in service of everybody else. Mm-hmm. And you have to learn to be comfortable with service, not servility. I don't get to slap you in the back of your head and say, look here, nigga, pick up my shoes. I don't get to talk to you like that. That's civility, right? In service, meaning that we are not working to, a lot of times we get into business and we think that we're using business to raise our personal status and value. So people are going to love me by buying my products that I created or engaging my service that I created, which makes me feel valuable. That's our trauma talking. Really, it is, I'm going to get into business to service a need. And by servicing the need, I gauge reciprocity, which will give me a certain level of success. Right? You're servicing other people's needs. That means you have to listen and figure out how to service other people. You don't get to run a routine or a couple of steps and make people happy. You have to sit down and listen to people. Look, servicing Tone's era and servicing Sydney era, 2 different conversations. They're too many years apart. That 15 years difference is huge. And if you try to go to Sydney with shit they doing for Tone, he'd be like, this is cool. I don't know what the fuck to do with this. And if I try to go to Tone with Sydney shit, Tone be like, I'm a grown ass man, bro. But pass me another lollipop, see what I'm gonna do to you. Just joking, Sydney. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying. I'm just implying. But the point is this. So my argument is that when you're in service of your customers, you don't get to copy and paste what you believe or what you like and what you desire. You gotta figure out what they want and figure out what skills and talents you have that aligns with what they want, not what you want to give. That is a recipe. This is why a lot of entrepreneurs get stuck in this purgatory of business where they're like, I don't understand if my business is good or not. I'm like, did anybody buy it? No, then it's not a good business yet.
Period.
Oh, you trying to tell me what I believe in, my grandma, and I came from. Yes, because now you're trying to do business to validate yourself, not do business. Or when you sell your products, you keep it too close to your heart, as if they're buying a part of you. Are they engaging in a value that's around you? When you're in business, what you don't realize what you're actually doing is you're actually servicing them, not servicing yourself. Now, you have to take care of yourself to service them. There is a system there. But too often we put ourselves first and the customer second. That's so damn important. And for black folks who were born of children of slaves, right? It's trauma there for us. And you see it when we go into business. We often are taking stands at the front counter as opposed to using the front counter to service because we think we're engaging servility. Big difference. Big difference. Next. So civility is, so as service, that means that you're focused on providing value while maintaining self-respect. That's service. You're maintaining your self-respect. And when you start getting just, some of y'all are practicing civility, and I've seen some of y'all act like y'all white with no booties. How you doing, Joe? You're in corporate America. Tighten your ass up and just start talking. Some of y'all be doing the civility at the office. They just call it shit what it is, right? Y'all only do service or y'all shrink yourself. Yeah, boss. No, boss, you know me. I'm always working hard for you. You haven't learned service. Some of y'all would do better in your corporate jobs if you just learn service over civility. Service earns respect. Civility doesn't earn respect.
Man.
Big difference.
That's a class by itself, a whole class.
Man, come on. So entrepreneurs, we are in the service game. That's why, and next, we're in the empathy game. We understand we have to build genuine connections with people. You're not working with a product to a space where invisible entities come and buy it and leave money that you recognize. You are a person providing a product or service to another human being. If you don't like people, you're already gonna suck.
As an entrepreneur,
you gotta like people. You gotta see people. People gotta walk up to you and you realize this is how I eat, by my relationship to other people.
Hey, can I say this story today? it was a dope experience that was subtle for me. But client called and said, "Hey, I got referred, but I like talking to people in their eye. Can I come down and we meet face to face and talk about what my needs are?" I said, "For sure, come on." So he brought his wife and his baby with him, and he sat down. His wife was at the couch. So I presenting to him materials he could touch and feel it, look at it, designs. Just I'm serving this man, serving him, showing him all the details and examples of asking him what he wants and trying to figure out what time out. Why are you doing this? Well, I'm doing this because it actually stands for these things because it comes from. Okay, cool. Okay, I got it. So I'm asking why, the whys behind this stuff. So I'm like, hold on, let me go grab my my pen because I gotta finish taking these notes. And when I walked away, he looked back at his wife and was like, "We in the big leagues now." Aww. And I was like, "That's dope." Because service plus empathy is hard to compete with somebody. As a competitor, I may be able to give you cheaper product or even something a little bit doper, but the feeling that you heard and you being served is hard to compete with that.
Can you put yourself in your customers' shoes? Agree or disagree? Can you put yourself in their shoes? And once you be able to put yourself in everybody's shoes, your employees, your customers, even politicians, everybody's shoes, you'll be able to see people and provide higher levels of empathy.
Yeah.
Right? Humility. Go ahead, Shakina.
So I have a question. As a business person that has a team, I've realized very recently that I have a great ability to show up one way to my clients because I have a lot of empathy and stuff, and I can see them and I know where they're coming from. But I have a stigma and a trauma when it comes to my staff because there's almost like I'm a people pleaser when it comes to my team because of fear of abandonment. And so I will overdo everything or ignore certain key factors. And I'm curious about, like, no one's perfect, so like you're gonna have flaws and whatnot, but like, how do you address that? Like, if you can see your customers and you can move in a way where you can connect and have empathy and you can show up in that space, but then you're undermining yourself because you've got like other things happening with your team. Like, how do you work on that? Not from because I think like it's an internal branding issue versus an external branding. Our external branding is on point. What people say about us when we're not there and stuff, it's cool. But then I'm struggling as I'm trying to grow my team and be more intentional about how I'm interacting with my staff and how I'm placing value and ownership and like accountability. Like what would you say to that?
I would say that one, we have to explore your belief system. I think it's somewhere in your belief system. Two, I would say that I'm not sure if you're really practicing empathy. I'm not sure if you even understand service. Because there's no such thing as my staff. I can say my staff at IT Media, but it's not my staff. It's this person, that person, this person. Part of being able to see the variations and diversity of the people that work with you. I don't give a shit if they're all the same color, the same age, the same height. Still diversity. Also, I think that what we should do is explore that question, answer, because I think we do a disservice to try to turn it into a simple question. I think we should explore that. I think that's a legitimate thing because I think throughout this class, throughout this new session we're going to create, that we're going to go further into empathy, further into service, further into humility, further into curiosity. Look, when I'm hanging out on my retreat with Court, T. Pratt, and Mashama, and Pastor Chris, we're displaying all five of those in such a rich way that it makes it it feels almost therapeutic to be around everybody. When we're talking, we are disagreeing, but we're working in that space there, right? Most of the time when I leave that circle, nobody's working in that space there. I'm so used to, in our community, service is bad. Let's just keep it 100, right? Because it's trauma. It's not that we bad people. We're wonderful people. If you go to their house, a lot of these people's houses that provide bachelors, they will provide you a wonderful experience. But it's just the way they're getting triggered. Empathy, we're too busy saying us versus them.
Me.
Yeah, like no, yeah, they gossiping, they hating on me. Oh my God, no. Humility. Watch this one, people. When you think about a strong black man, strong black woman, does humility really fit? Play it. Play the role play the script in your mind. We don't think about a humble person. We think about a stand their ground, firm, lock down their position, know what they want. That's kind of the image that when you see young men trying to grow into their manhood, I ain't taking shit from nobody. I know what I know. Debate your way. I'm the best debater. I know right over wrong. I can argue with anybody. These are things that we come to associate with strength, but what you'll find as entrepreneurs, those are all weaknesses. Mm-hmm. Being humble, being able to like learn, being able to like have a debate with somebody and realize, oh, they're getting upset. What? Let me explore that. I want to know what's going on. What is I can't see? Not, I don't give a shit, they get mad, they're still wrong. Right? It's like you understand the humble game like never before. You'll realize that the more humble you are, the more dangerous you are. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But no one's ever taught us that. Because it's called being a pushover based upon our historical trauma. Mm-hmm. As opposed to, no, most great men and wise men operate in a space of humility. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Because you'll never know it all. You will never know. There's nobody that's going to walk in your presence that you can read them up and down and understand them. Mm-hmm. Because a person next door had different parents. A person next door who went to the same school, same block, wear the same clothes, has different parents. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And they have a different set of experiences. And then even if they had the exact same parents, your twin cousin, twin brother, sister, uncle, nephew, y'all are different because you had different combination of experiences. So it is almost necessary for us not to over leverage being right in the world that we don't own.
Mm-hmm. And if you came up in a corporate world, you learn something called fake it till you make it, right? And you just stick your chest out, nod your head, and whoever on the cross says, do you know how to do so-and-so? And you go, yeah, I know how to do that. Knowing damn well you don't know how to do that shit. But you learn because you're smart, and over time you figured it out to where you were able to sail smoothly into whatever job you're doing, and that worked over and over and over again. At fake it till you make it, chest out, I got this, and whatever somebody says on the other side, just say I know how to do it. That's helped you. In entrepreneurship, that'll kill you because you have to be humble to this game. So this is like professional boxing. So if you are, don't matter how big, buff, how good you can fight, you have to walk in the ring knowing that you could get knocked out. One false move, one off, I look to the left, I hear somebody in the audience say something, I pay attention for just 1 second too long, you can get knocked out by anybody. That keeps you humble. It keeps you moderate when it's high, and it keeps you moderate when it's low, because you know you got to keep your head on the swivel at all times. And you have missing pieces to the game, your game. So you're constantly looking and learning from other people to be like, damn, how'd you do that? That's dope. How'd you do that? Man, give me some of that. And if you're not in a give me some of that game space from other people, then you're going to walk around. That air works good in work, but that air, when you get around entrepreneurs that have the game for you or may be doing better than you and would share it with you, turns them off. If you walk around like a know-it-all around an entrepreneur, he's going to be like, oh, go ahead then. Shit, like, have fun. Oh, you know it? Do it then.
And then I'd be an asshole. They realize that life's the best teacher.
Life is the best teacher.
I don't need to take the blows that life's going to take. Life is designed to take your fake-ass blow and knock you the fuck out. Right? Where when you hit me, I might have to take, I don't got time for that. So a lot of times I don't avocado. I let you just get slapped the fuck out, and I'd be like, well, you ready to talk about it now? You got some teeth left, or you want to keep going? Right? And so that humbleness is forced upon us in ways you guys cannot begin. Like every time we've gotten cocky and try to act like we know everything, life is knocking us the fuck out.
Come on,
like
man.
literally. So in the end, we're walking around. So even when we're together, all of us, all my peers, we're debating. Now let me say another thing. You're not only humble when you're looking up, because we're a hierarchy animal, right? We're not only humble when we're looking up, we're humble when we're also looking down. I mean, if I'm around somebody who's, I think, their life is, I'm still listening for a lesson. You'll be surprised how often, huh?
Can I ask a question?
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, I'm getting speechless, Mike. I was wondering if I could share something from our session today.
Yeah, go ahead.
A little bit of 510 media background. To help with Nano's point, we spent 3 hours today with a client, and all we did was ask questions. The first thing that we did, Mashama and the group discussed, how do we want them to feel? What are we trying to find from these people? How are we trying to show up in service? Like, not just be a guide, but how are we going to be a shepherd and a ferryman and a person that helps them navigate the rapids of their business? And so the whole 3 hours was just either I think I'm hearing this. Is this what we're hearing? And then let me ask you this. Let me take you further. And then what we were doing too is we were dealing with some leadership folks. We would take one leader and play them off the other person. What do you think this person is saying? But we knew that because their leadership, it's like a game of telephone. And just the subtle differences in their lenses of leadership causes dramatic drift across their organization. So we knew today we had to show up and be as humble and as visible as possible to our clients and just literally be a mirror. And that was the only way we were going to serve them, is to get ourselves out the way and be able to be there for them.
Hella fire.
Yeah, that's dope.
Next one.
That's where I get it from.
That's next one. Right off, family. Next one, curiosity. A lot of times we've been told we're not valuable. One of the biggest problems I've ever noticed when I work by serving black people over these years, a lot of us suffer from not feeling like we're good enough. So quite often we lack curiosity. We're too busy trying to prove ourselves. You can say to yourself, I believe in curiosity, but if I'm trying to prove that I'm valuable to everybody, I don't give curiosity a chance to breathe. So I'll go home and have a curious moment to myself. I wonder what Court meant. That I don't cuss him out all this time, argue with him, told him I know what the fuck I'm talking about. Oh, hell no, I'm on Google and everything. I'm debating him every way. And I'm going to prove to him I'm right? I'm going to call Shakir. Babe, look, this motherfucker going to tell me he know that the earth is round. I'm telling the motherfucker the shit's flat. That's why I look out my house, the shit flat. They going to tell me shit round. I don't know where he coming from, right? But don't realize, I get home and be like, I wonder if he was right. But I destroyed the curiosity a moment. As opposed to I said, hey, man, I think the world's flat because that's what I see. He goes, no, the world's round. I said, well, where you coming from, bro? How you get that? Well, have you been in a plane before? Nah. You ever been this before? Nah, won't you come with me? Oh, shit, the world does start to curve the higher you get. By the way, I just gave you a hell of an analogy on how to look at business. The lower you are in business, the world looks flat. The higher you climb, the world starts to curve. And a lot of times when you talk to somebody who's advanced in the game, giving a new person, they're going to have a flat earth conversation with somebody who can see that it's curving. All right, next one.
Bars.
Black people. Listen to most of our conversations, defensive base. The whole pro-black movement is built on the foundation of defense. You ever sat in a room with somebody talking about what happened to black people in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, last week? Great defensive dialogue. Have you ever seen somebody fuck up the conversation and go like, well, what are we going to do? Oh, man, well, I'm going to tell you what you ain't going to do. You ain't going to come in here and tell me I don't know nothing about 1960 because Malcolm X said, and then when Martin Luther King met Malcolm X, he said, so that's what the fuck I said. Now, you need to go home and work on that first. You didn't say nothing, bro. Right? Entrepreneurs learn the offensive side of life. So many of us have been playing defense for so damn long. We're in a society that's you're in the minority. You're only 5%. You're only 20%. You're only 10%. You ain't got no money. You ain't got no banks. You ain't got your own school. You ain't got your own hospital. So shut the fuck up. Right? This is how the world's been whispering to us. By the way, there's a concept that says when you don't have money, when you have money, you project your will into the world. When you don't have money, the world projects their will upon you. You see how the pro-black this class is? Anyway, let's keep it going. So, flip it back. A lot of us have been playing defense for so motherfucking long because everything around us feel like it's attacking or telling you what you can't have or what you can't do, even though it's not really true, but some of that's distortion. But anyway, it feels like that. And then you hear all these articles of our parents talking about, you have no idea where we came from. And you go, well, shit, feel like we still going through that shit. So you become defensive masters, but you don't build with defense. Doesn't mean you don't have defense, but you got to learn the offense. And you're going to find in this class, when we teach you offense, it sounds like we're talking about a language from far away. It almost sounds like we read a new Bible to you. But once you learn this offense, you'll realize, oh, shit, you mean there are more doors than I ever knew was around me? There are so many doors. You've only been told about 2, maybe 3. Some of y'all only know 1. I'm telling you, there's thousands of doors that you cannot see because you're too defensive to know they exist. Your brain needs boundaries. They're healthy for you. The problem is that you had never learned how to move those boundary lines further out. Defense, you've just been closing them in tighter and tighter. You know, I don't fuck with this person. I don't fuck with this person. I don't mess with this. This person's messy. You don't fuck around. You only got 2 friends. There's 7.5 million people in the Bay Area. You got 2. You can't even get to 10 because you don't fuck with. You don't like. I don't. Hell no. Right? You too defensive. Somebody tell you, hey, you know, I came to your business the other day and you had on a yellow shirt. Do you guys really need to wear yellow? Oh, you don't. You work. You ain't got. Shit, what? Motherfucker. What? How are you arguing? Once you realize how much you can't see, you're going to realize arguing is the path of stupidity. Let me explain to you real quick. If you argue all the time, you don't realize the world those who are growing can see your weaknesses. Mm-hmm. When you're really trying to grow, somebody's really trying to grow, they don't argue much. Now, they were divorced. Oh, that's what I want to say earlier. Dope concept. Show you how much this shit's cold. Strategy and how things work. Tone's walking down the streets talking to me, right? And Tone's talking to me, and he's telling me all these bad ideas. This is what I was gonna say earlier. He's telling me but it's kind of tied to the same thing. He tell me these bad ideas. Like he just tell me something. I'm thinking, this is stupid. This is horrible. Do I tell him the solution, or do I let him fall? Sometimes you gotta let them fall. So a lot of times when you're in the presence of entrepreneurs, they don't say shit to you because they're not trying to be mean to you. They realize that they just try to stop it. It's like you ever see somebody that's overcoddled? It makes them weaker. They're more fragile. They can't even handle a breeze. They call a breeze a storm. Oh my God, it's Santa Ana winds. Fool, it is a soft breeze. That wind is 3 miles per hour, right? But when somebody's fragile, everything is stressful. And, oh, my God, a hard day. Oh, my God, these black people ought be hating on me. Oh, God, the traffic is crazy out in the streets. Oh, my God, the climate change is crazy. Oh, my God, the birds don't sing right. I mean, what the fuck is wrong with you? You're overcoddled. You're fragile. So sometimes as an entrepreneur, whether you know it or not, part of our offense is saying nothing to you when you're fucking up. Because we understand that if I decide to engage you in that space, all I'm going to become is a victim of your nastiness. So I do understand that at some point, you're going to keep running a mile and your knees going to go out because you're running incorrectly. And you're wearing high heels if you're a woman. Not you, Josh, wherever you are. I'm accept your differences, Josh. Point is this. So the reality is that no one heard you. So the reality is that you'll find real quickly that sometimes there's times when things are going wrong, entrepreneurs say nothing. Do you realize sometimes when your business, something's going bad, it's sometimes better not to do anything and it'll take care of itself? There's times when you waste money putting out a fire that just needs to burn out. Like, when you understand offense, you don't always play defense. There's sometimes you just let the fire burn. There's sometimes that when somebody makes some, like, for example, you ever heard people say, I heard this a lot because my family my father-in-law passed away, and his family is very defensive. So they would say things like, yeah, then the white man wouldn't let us do this. As if that was the end of the earth. In business, if you tell me I can't, that's the beginning of a battle. And the battle doesn't end until I win, baby. I don't never say, you defeated. If you defeated me, that means I need to retreat, learn, improve, and get back in the game. But what I don't do is say, yeah, last time I tried that move, they wouldn't let me, and they just resisted me. Maybe it was just me. So I'm saying, once you understand this offensive game, there's so many, all year long, we're going to teach you offense. You'll learn a little bit of defense when it's necessary, right? Because defense is part of the game. But I will tell you, black people, because of the shit we've been through, we are defensive. We are Draymond Greens. We got nothing but Draymond Green. We are a whole race of Draymond Green, right? We should call this Draymond Green of America. We are defensive as shit. But when it comes time to make that three-pointer, you go and shoot that boy.
Yeah. Hey, have you heard the term offense is the best defense? Everything he said is fire because it's true. We've been brought up with scarcity our whole life. So scarcity mindset is always in protective mode. It's defense. Oh, so then our brain is wired because we survived for defense. So then that's why it's tough sometimes to go get money, go make the sale. Have you ever said the term, well, I don't like talking about money. You know why? Because you come from a defensive mindset. I'll survive, but when it comes to going to ask for the deal, I'm an entrepreneur. Okay, cool. Well, how much do you want for your services? Well, I don't like talking about money. What? Like, that's defense. So we going to talk about money. We going to talk about offense. We going to talk about everything. What your bank account look like. Let's talk about all of it to get us comfortable with playing offense, converting the sale, asking the customer for what we want. That's offense. Playing the offensive game is how we eat. Like if I said, hey, I want you to get in the ring with somebody, all they're gonna do is block. So don't worry. They're not gonna swing back. Like what? Easy money, right? That's you. That's you.
They call you the Vogue boxer.
You can't win. You can't win a fight playing defense. All defense. You can't win a fight. You might, if you hella good, then you may not lose. You may not get hurt or knocked out, but you can't win. So this is a big one, and this is probably
as a cultural part of our trauma.
Big because it's so culturally inflicted into our trauma and our culture. This one is once you dislodge that, you're gonna feel it, and it's gonna make you better.
Quickly, last slide. Just probably just read it. Last slide. Is that really last slide? Okay. Here you go. I was like, last slide. Nothing. Entrepreneur is not about arriving at a destination, but embracing a journey of continual growth and evolution. You're not. If you get into this entrepreneur game, don't you ever tell somebody I graduated, or I learned that already, or I arrived, or I completed these steps. It's a continue. That's the language they use in corporate America, and that's cool. I don't have no problem with that. That ain't the world. We're not even challenged in that world. I'm saying in this game, you're in constant evolution. When you see somebody new, this is my closing point. When you see some new entrepreneur, you don't talk about the destination. You talk about where you're going. All right. That being said, next week we're gonna get started on some cognitive distortions. We're gonna start laying the foundation for the glossary, the context. And then we're going to jump, and then the third week we're going to jump right into the separation in the book. So next week we're going to get into like a lot of cognitive distortions, because cognitive distortions are at the heart of strategy distortions. All right? With that being said, peace, love y'all. See y'all next week.